Alrighty, thank you for listening to or watching the Upland Down Under podcast. Tonight's November show is streaming live on Saturday, the 9th of November from 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. On tonight's show, we're going to catch up on the Upland market and Sparklet floors. We'll review and reflect on the Miami Beach release. Power Up bundles are back for Upland Racing. There's a few events and opportunities that have just been announced for the Wonderland season. And of course, there's the Upland Roadmap update to dive into. And I did just see that I had a very interesting DM from somebody about a whole bunch of people getting jailed. So here we go. We might get into that as well. The main topic for tonight's show is the rise, proliferation, and fall of user-generated content in Upland, outlining and discussing some very biased opinions on the past, present, and potentially future outlooks for the ecosystem. Also include insights into what it's like to be a UGC creator in Upland. This will include an overview of related community responses to a recent survey I put out in the NBA server. We've also got QIPS on Structure Ornaments, the Block Explorer and Vehicle Markets, Leaderboard Frustrations, Layer 2 Concepts, Tier downgrades for major cities, and the apparent disappearance of the whales. And we'll take a look at another Upland community member spotlight, courtesy of the Dynamic Node Builders team. Today we'll be giving away at least 220,000 UPX, 3 map assets, 2 vehicles, which will take the 2024 giveaway tally to at least 3,330,000 UPX, 156 map assets, 3 structure ornaments, 5 vehicles, and 5 properties. Don't forget we have the big end of year show next month sometime as well, and that's going to bump those figures up dramatically. More information on that a bit later in the show. All that and more, of course, on this, the Upland Down Under podcast. And welcome back to the fold, Swally Man. How are you doing this morning?
A little bit stressed IRL, so I thought I couldn't leave you hanging. So just finished my first open home inspection for my house I'm trying to sell, getting ready for the big move and everything else. So yeah.
Very good.
Very busy.
Very good, mate. All right. Well, there's a lot to get into. I haven't been super engaged with all things, so a lot of this will be very, very by the seat of my pants. And I should say from the outset too, I have switched over. You might notice I've switched over to the free version of StreamYard. So just as I was getting comfortable with the paid version and all the bells and whistles that were part of that, I've dropped down to the free version. So not sure how all that's going to work or how that's going to impact. We'll see how we go. All right. Today's show is again brought to you by BAMTech from the Apex Motors and Map Assets Metaventures. Your trackside property will stand out with speedway fences from Apex Map Assets, with hundreds of them sold. These debris fences give Upland racers a realistic visual when driving by your property. You'll find speedway fences on many tracks, including Upland's New York Speedway. And if I can switch over to this one. BAMTech also has roadster carts and now neon carts available to help get you even more immersed in Upland racing. He's got showrooms for all of the above spread out all over the bloody place in Upland. So give him a follow on X at BAMTech_01 and suit up and race on over to see what BAMTech's got going on at Apex Motors and Map Assets. We'll be giving away 2 of his neon carts today, one for our live participants and one as part of what will be the monthly challenge, or what was the monthly challenge for this podcast, which if you missed out on, was set up and run in the NBA Discord server. Link to that, of course, is in the description. Time for the disclaimer.
Warning, the information and opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved, contains content not suitable for anyone.
Indeedly doodly, especially today, content not suitable for anyone. All right, let's have a look at what's currently going on in the Upland markets now. When was it? It was probably 6 months ago. I was playing around with the data and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put in a little bit of code here so that if we have any under mints that go under 20%, they're going to go black. And we haven't really seen any of those. I don't know if you've seen the market card that I put out before, Swally, but they're black all over the bloody place. I couldn't believe it. I was quite surprised, actually.
I did, but consistently it remains about 30% of the USD price remains about 30% of the UPX price across the board, regardless of what the markup is.
Yep.
So that's just the market balancing out pretty much. So that's what we want to see, that gap close. And then we know that the market's getting healthier.
Yes, well, look at that. We've got Dallas is 18%, Kansas is 17%, Las Vegas 18%, Los Angeles 12%. Are we going to have a different color here? Under 10%. Miami 16, Queens 15. That's insane. I did have a look into some of the data, and it appears that there's one person in particular just doing a massive cash out. I think by memory, their account was worth 60 something million UPEX, so not a small account by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, even without the blacks, there's so much red there.
Who was that?
22s. I don't know if I want to put them on blast. You can find it yourself
Okay.
pretty quick if you go into the data. You know, I've sold stuff before too. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't know this person. I've got no DM history with them. So yeah, without knowing what's going on, I'm not really sure there. But they're definitely pulling out in a big way. I wonder how much of that is also related to, which I guess we'll probably touch on a bit later in, we did have recently the increases in how many USDs you could list and whatnot as part of it all with your different tiers for your stuff. I know as soon as that came through, I immediately listed way more than 20 because I was always balancing between, okay, I've got these ones that I want to put out there as, carrots for some future potential whale that might want to just ape into old collections or something. And then there's a whole bunch of actual flips that I want to do. It was always a pain in the ass to take them down, reset them. So it's nice to have that flexibility now. Have you played around with that any yourself?
Not really, to be fair. 20, because I haven't really been selling much, especially USD. And I haven't had time. I've been just so busy with UGC and stuff. I just haven't really had time to try and drill down on that. I need to ramp up my USD sales, but haven't done it enough yet.
Yeah, I did. I've done a few different things where I've worked with some different communities and some different individual players to mint up in UPEX and flip to USD. I've kind of been focused on the background for probably the last couple of weeks. Probably going to continue with that, especially as we head into next year, and that extra flexibility with being able to list that extra stuff, definitely very much appreciated. It's something that the community was always asking about for quite a while, so good to see him come through with some of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what else have we got? So interesting to note now that there was always a few UPX under 100% markups as well too, but now it's 50% of the market is now somewhat under mint and massively under mint. So we're kind of in a situation now, even with, I can't really see from Miami Beach because it's we don't have last month's figures, but have a go at Manhattan. $18.90 last month, now down 47% to $10. San Francisco, if you would believe, is now $3 floor. That's just absolutely mind-boggling to me. Tokyo dropping as well. Well, actually, that's quite flat there. Where was the other one that I noticed? There was something else that stuck right out. But there's a whole bunch that are on the $3 floor as well. Las Vegas is now $3. Just it doesn't matter if you're minting something, unless it's some kind of collection or in some specific target area. Even nodes nowadays, even some of the deals that I'm minting in UPX to flip for USD, the floors are all way under markup. So as soon as you buy or mint something in UPX, the price is just gone. I don't know how can this continue.
Well, it's just going to continue until the market picks up, until players start coming and start buying some more. But again, I look at things differently to you because I don't really look at what the markup is in terms of buying and selling, and then whether you're flipping to gain UPX or flipping to sell for USD. Like to gain UPX, that Manhattan is a brilliant deal. If you could buy $10 and get 6x on your money, that's pretty bloody good. But that's the thing I'm looking at. So whether you're trying to get UPX or whether you're trying to sell for USD, I look at that breakdown between the two prices, and I'm looking for something above that 30% for the USD. So in terms of whatever the floor markup is whatever it is. We can't control that, so we just got to look for the deals that we can, and they're still out there. You can still sell something for 30,000 UPX, buy something for 30,000 UPX, and sell it for more than 30%. So, but until Upland start retaining players and growing the game, it's going to continue going this way.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre to me. Berlin's bucking the trend. It's up 10% on the UPX and 10% on the USD. Not sure what's going on there, but everywhere else, my God, just getting absolutely smashed. Yeah, to see San Francisco at a $3 floor, just wow. Manhattan, $10, as I said. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah,
What have we got for Sparklet price? Oh,
$3.
sorry, go
Wow.
ahead.
Oh, San Francisco. I hadn't
Yeah.
noticed that $3. That surely that gets snapped up, but
Yeah, I would imagine so. But
you
how
gotta-
many has that old player got of that? I don't know. I haven't looked into it. So
you got to remember though, like we're not really. I mean, I don't know what the figures are actually, but it certainly doesn't feel like to me that we're really growing in player numbers in the last 12 months. But how many more properties have been put on the market in the last 12 months? It's like the same with Sparklet. Like you keep flooding the market with something, the price of it's going to go down.
Yep.
So I mean, I know we've got to have city reveals and whatnot to keep the game interesting, but we can't burn property. So, I mean, there's more and more on the market. I mean, I, for one, hate trying to manage 2,000 properties. I hate it with a passion because the UI is so crap. So I want to get down to, basically only collection properties and no properties, and that's it, because I'm not treasure hunting anymore.
Yep.
So, and I'm a long-term player. Like, what incentive do other people have if, they're not even that dedicated to the game?
Yeah, man, I find it quite concerning. Well, what you just said there is reflected in like the unique active wallets. Like for the month, that's down 50%. Total unminted properties, of course, that's gone down as well. And we've had a whole bunch of properties come on with different releases and whatnot. Total properties for sale in USD up massively, of course, with that expansion. Interesting to note that all of this market volatility, or however you want to describe it, is not really reflected in the Sparklet price. It's down a touch, but not by much. I mean, it's
you
pretty
can
steady,
almost
really.
you could almost put a line on the chart. So when you go to like the trading view and actually market, let's say on hourly or even a 4-hour sort of chart, you can see when there's two airdrops that they do, which are 2 weeks apart at the end of each season. You can see the downtrend in the price at the same time. With coincidence, maybe. I doubt it, because even if you get airdropped, say you get airdropped 10,000 Sparklet, you might not be able to take that out for 3 months, but you probably already got 10,000 in your account that you can take out. So you basically going, well, I'm getting 10,000, I'll sell 10,000 I already got, and then make that back up. So it's until we stop getting so much drop to us, which is not going to be, the New Orleans airdrops, was that going to be sometime in February? Like I was saying, January is probably the earliest before we start seeing Sparklet price rise. Now I'm probably pushing that out to February if we're going to keep doing all these airdrops.
Indeed.
Although,
and welcome aboard, Mr. Elslack. I just seen he's bumped into. Jump
Yeah.
in at any stage if you want to, mate.
we'll see what this
Hey, how's it
rebalancing does.
Good one. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, overall, the price of UPX is pretty flat, which is surprising, really, considering that how much. Sorry, I said UPX. I think Sparklet. Considering
Sparklet.
how much into the economy, especially considering, like, at the moment, Bitcoin is, I think it's all-time highs.
Yeah, you can't compare, and I've seen other players try and say that, like it's tracking. Sparklet is way too small and on way too few exchanges for it to be tracking the same as the rest of the market.
Yeah.
So until it's on pretty much every platform everywhere, and the market cap starts to resemble something that's decent, which is what we all want, because obviously we want the price to go up. It's its own little beast at the moment. So, and I think you can almost just track its price by what's happening in game, which makes sense because it's a very small coin, and B, the game is probably where 99% of the interest comes from for the coin.
Absolutely. Well, soon as we've got the Volga Uplander on here, Mr. Elslack, what's your take on the amount of undermints that are available now? Like 12%. 12% markup in LA. $10 Manhattans. What's going on here, mate?
I think we don't, like Swarley was saying, I don't think we have player retention. I think we have maybe even some players looking to get out. Maybe they're unsure about how things are going. I don't know. I mean, it's good for players like me. who want to get into these neighborhoods or nodes, but I think for the overall, quality of the game, I don't know if that's such a great thing. Nobody really wants to see UPX prices at, or not UPX price, but the
USD,
yeah, the USD down that far. Nobody wants that. I wouldn't say that's great for the game. 25% that's really pushing it, but to each their own. I think it will bounce back, but I think it's a bad look at the moment. But I mean, look where we're at with Upland and their lack of communication and their kind of weird goings on that they've been having. It's no surprise that people maybe don't have a lot of faith in them at the moment with this new Q4 roadmap thing. Maybe we can, for lack of a better word, spark some interest in that. But I don't know. Up until that point, it feels like it's been a kick in the ass like every other day with some other new weird thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the case that overall community sentiment is, it's very bearish at the moment.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, remember, we are a crypto game. We're a crypto-based game. We always have been, even before Sparklet was a thing. And all we're doing is mimicking what the rest of the market's doing. The rest of the market went down 90%. We've gone down something sort of similar. So when the rest of the market goes up, we will go up with. It's just common sense. So I don't think the prices of the properties is a concern. I think it's a great value to buy properties now. If you're into the game, you think it's going in the right place. It's the same way it was great to buy Bitcoin at 15 grand only 18 months ago. So it's absolutely no different. I'm not comparing Upland to Bitcoin by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just a reflection of the market. So the prices being down 20% of markup or whatever, irrelevant. It's where the game's going in the future and whether you believe in it or not. And sometimes I do waver on that. Now, my commitment financially is obviously can't be understated, but I'm not worried about the prices. Never have been. I don't think you've ever found me ever going, I don't like the fact that it's going down. It's just great buys. If you want to get into the game, now has never been a better time to get in the game if you think it's going in the right place.
Yeah, I'm definitely not deterred based on the prices at all. I mean, if anything, I'm like, I need some more money so I can buy up some of these properties because they're not going to stay like this. I mean, again, the seller probably doesn't want to sell this much, but the buyer's going to love it, and that's me.
Yeah,
I'm that buyer.
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of. I know I'm in a privileged position where I can just play Upland for free, basically, essentially for as long as I want to, because I've worked hard over the last, whatever it's been, 5 years or whatever, to get my account in the position it is. And I did inject a significant amount of crypto to get it all set up and that. But even now with some of the communities that I'm working with, I'm minting, even though I'm getting the UPX for free, and I'm minting these things, it still stings to work out a deal. Okay, now I'm going to flip you at the floor price. Hang on a minute, the floor price is 25%. I'm thinking, gee, really? It's
no.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm looking. When I'm looking to try and flip, I'm trying to find the best deals I can. Like that Manhattan, say from $10 USD to 65,000 UPX, like even 60. If you buy at 10 and sell for 60,000, you're going to flip that. Manhattan sells.
Yep.
And you're getting a 6x, and that's a pretty good deal in anyone's book that way. And in reverse, I'm trying to look for something that's 40% or better, and the floors might be a lot like that, but not the collection. So there are deals out there to be made, and if you look and try and do it right. I mean, I flipped a South Grove property just a couple of days ago for $100. That was a 40% markup. So you can still make some decent deals out there. It's just not as easy, but hopefully better days will come.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we shall move on. If you're a live participant, drop the hashtag UGCFTW, user-generated content for the win, UGCFTW, to go in the running for some prizes we'll give away at the end of the show. All right. Of course, one of the big things that happened through the month was the release of Miami Beach. When that was announced, I was like, really? Miami Beach? What the hell is that? A beach in Miami? I had no freaking clue what the hell it was. My initial reaction was, oh, great, just what we need, another US city. Turns out I had a look into it. It's a pretty cool area, very, very close to mimicking a lot of what happens in my hometown, the on the Gold Coast in Australia. Swally Man, what was your interest in this? And then probably Elslack, as you being a US native resident, what do you think about Miami Beach, just as a general concept of where we're headed?
Okay, well, I'll go quickly first. Obviously, I'm not as excited these days for a new city release as I used to be, but it's still an exciting time. This release was probably one of the better ones in a while because there was the demand for it. In fact, the demand was even higher than I expected. I predicted before it went on sale that it'll take probably 10 minutes, and I think it was actually half that to mint out. Which was fun. Like, I missed those days of, remember Rio when that first release, I can't remember how many properties it was, but it was snapped up in like 4 minutes or something. So you're just rushing to mint whatever you can and then you can flip, and that was fun. This was probably too fast. I mean, I was wanting to get I literally minted 3 properties and then it was all gone. I had 2 million UPX and I spent $500,000 and that was it in 3, not even that, in 3 properties. So maybe too fast, but yeah, it was exciting and I enjoyed it. A lot of collections, so lots of meat on the bone for players out there to get stuff. So interesting that this is a category 3 city, such a small city, never going to be expanded. Treasure hunting would be an absolute dream in this city. Sorry, tier 2, not tier 3. Yeah, and not that I'm going to get interested. I think treasure hunting's still dead, but yeah, probably one of the better releases in a while, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I thought it was a really great release. I originally thought it was a like an expansion, because essentially Miami Beach is Miami. But whatever, they want to call it a new city, I'm fine with that. I kind of like the idea of having a smaller city. It minted out really quick. It kind of brought back the feels with some rarity, and it was hard to get. You had to be, quick on the trigger, which I thought was fun. That's the sort of stuff I think we've been lacking. There were not a bunch of properties left over, which I again think is probably good for the game. We don't need a bunch of properties just sitting there. We need to reduce the amount, not continue to grow the amount of unminted properties. Yeah, and it was just fun to do a release where you weren't sure if you were going to get something or not, and everybody was fighting for kind of the same area. I tried to get in the Millionaires Row and I failed miserably, but I was able to pull off a couple mints, and I was pretty happy with that. I thought it was a lot more fun than any recent city release. So
yeah, I got up for it. Like when I looked into it, I thought, yeah, you know what? Especially that there was a very small area limited. It was kind of seemed like if you don't go now, or if you didn't get up at stupid AM to have a crack at it, you weren't going to get a go at it unless you bought the passes or whatever. I just happened to be floating straight along Ocean Drive, and this big one here happened to be the first one I minted. So it turns out I was pretty lucky to get in there, because I think that's the rare one.
Red one, yeah.
I've only got one of them, and I ain't going to buy the other 2, so that is what it is.
You're going to flip it? I only bought 3, as I said, and I was lucky that it was on Alton Road or something, so it was only one of the more expensive neighborhoods, and it was like a main road. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be a collection, but it turned out to be one. I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, I can't be mad about that. I just put a showroom. Yeah, I just happened to luck into that too. I'm putting a showroom on there.
So then
I got a heap of properties. Yeah, I went in. Well, I flipped the one next to it. I minted the one next to it, and I've since flipped that. And I minted a bunch. All around the place. I ran out of cents. I had 2 million UPX. I think I spent a bit over $1 million, and I ran out of cents. But there were still heaps available. I could have minted way more, except no cents. So what do you do? I got these couple of Long Lakeview. I don't think that's nothing, is it? It's not a collection. No, so no. I'll probably flip those.
Did you get any on the dong or the rocket ship?
I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere near that stuff. I stayed right away from there. Like I said, I minted that one straight there, and then I went up. I think I jumped up to that other area up the top there where I saw, because I wanted a showroom property, and that's where I minted that. I minted a bunch around there, and I said, "Oh, I'll have a look around what's up here." Yeah, I didn't go anywhere near all of that stuff because I thought, well, everyone's going to go for that. So, that's what I meant. Where for me personally, it went flawlessly. I could have minted way more. It's just for the fact that I ran out of cents. So I had the full lot of cents when I went in there. And it wasn't the case where previously, you know, there's unminted and you jump to that area, and when you land and you can start minting, they're all gone, they're all locked out. It was nothing like that. It was I would land and there'd be 6, 7 around me I could mint, but it was precisely because I just avoided all this super kind of wanted stuff, you know, high demand stuff at the start. So all in all, bit of fun. Made a few dollars to withdraw, but yeah, nothing.
I think
nothing
I had
like
really
the
poor
Paris
internet where I was at.
one. Mm.
No, I agree. It was a
Um,
flawless release. There was no dramas, unlike some previous ones. But yeah, that's all good. Again, it's just strange, such a small city for a tier 2, but yeah, it is what it is. So why would you go hunt Queens when you can hunt here? Actually, and we'll get back to it, I guess.
Treasure hunting area.
If you can get the web. We'll get back to it, I guess, when we get to the roadmap. But it's interesting that you're building a showroom there.
Well, you know, I committed to that. I said I'm going to put a showroom in every city, and
yeah, but with new information, you make new decisions. And to me,
yeah, I know.
It's a decent enough information to change your decision, especially when you consider the UI to stock all these and maintain them and manage them. I know the fees are next to nothing, especially when there's not much sales in that city. But
here's the thing: I despite what you would believe, I still love Upland. I still love playing Upland. I love the concept. I love the mechanics of it all. I love what it does. I feel like if I personally say, okay, I'm not going to stick to that, I'm going to mint or put a showroom in every city. Well, there's going to be a city release, and I'm going to say I'm not even going to bother even looking at this, touching this, and it's going to be like I'm very much a habit driven person. Like if I do something, I stick to it. But if I stop doing it, that's it. I'm never going to do it again. So I feel like this is my lifeline. You know, if there is a city release, that's the one thing that's keeping me interested.
Yeah, you're still going to be buying.
I feel like that's something I'm going to stick to.
I think undoubtedly they're going to have.
Yeah.
I think they always have more information that they don't share. I could see something where they're going to charge like a shipping fee, and then if you want to just go visit the shop, you know, in the city that you're in, that you'll get a discount. And so it would still have a benefit and a use case for that. More than likely, there's going to be some sort of shipping fee. I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
Try and subsidize the lack of travel fees that they're going to receive.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole thing at the moment, like now that I've taken a break from things, I kind of burn out with that big Ben 68 sign I did with all the bloody Christmas spirals. Now that I'm getting back into things, I am now going to make a very strong effort to get all the showrooms stocked up. You know, I've got a bunch of factories that are built that I haven't applied for official factory status that aren't in production. I've got a crap ton of showrooms that I haven't officially applied for. So I'm going to start doing all that. That's going to be my focus for the next while, even with that additional information that's come on board. So yeah, I feel like that's my lifeline that's keeping me involved. So here we go. All right, we'll race through some other newsy events. Power up bundles are back. Not really into racing myself, so didn't really mean much for me, but I did see there was a few people on X saying, hey, I just received 100 bloody packages. What's this all about? So apparently Upland did some massive kickback for people that had previously bought power-up bundles. Apparently you all got a whole bunch for free. So good on you if that was you. Hopefully you put them to use and get involved.
That was the ban he put in chat. I've just got given a whole heap of stuff for free. I don't know why. I mean, you must have bought something back in the day. He's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like,
that's what it was.
You had to have. So they're just rebalancing it, which is fair enough. So they're doing something right, which is nice.
Yep. Yeah, and it's nice that they didn't drop all those in the midst of the Miami Beach city release or something. That's usually the way it goes. You're right in the middle of something important, and you get all of these bang bang boxes pop up. I had a quick look through this before, and what do you know? I couldn't believe my eyes. They've got it right here: nitro brake oil, but for Christ's sake, look, they've still got brake oil written down here, but BREAK. Don't put brake oil in your engine. You don't want to break your engine. So come on, you got to fix things up like that, please.
That's a weird
So
name.
I thought that was a bit funny.
So they're still stuck with that. They haven't changed that from the first announcement.
No, no. But it is fixed up there, so I don't know. That's just one of those pedantic things that we like to dive into. And of course, we had some recent announcements. I think it might have been last night or this morning that this come through. Looking ahead to the Wonderland season, Upland's Winter Wonderland, calling all creators. No, we're focusing on UGC in this month's show, so I haven't read any of this at all. So what do we got here? Holiday Plaza Challenge. Oh, another freaking Plaza thing like the Halloween one. What did they do anything?
It's Halloween, but just change season. That's all.
Reskinned, yeah. Did they do anything with that besides the take a screenshot?
It was in the game for a while. If you went to someone won it. I didn't go to it myself. I saw the video of it. So you walk down the street and you see pumpkins on.
Yeah, but to do what? Was there any? There was no like official event, or okay, we're all going to go through here and do something. All I seemed to see was that screenshot thing. I tried to do it on my phone, it didn't work, so I just give up.
Yeah, I don't know. I've too much of my plate as it is to really dive deep. It was too much of a learning curve for me to learn how to do all this and work with. It's not the same as UGC. It's very different. So, and I just went, yeah, it's too hard.
I thought you were going to blow a gasket when we started talking about that thing.
I was so excited to do it, and like I've got like a 3D model of a skeleton, and I'm like, oh, all these different ideas what we can do with this skeleton and how we can, and then I was absolutely devastated when I realized how hard it was to do, and I just went, you know what, I just leave this for the pros.
That was outrageous. It was sad and also kind of funny at the same time how pissed off you got, but you know, because we were really looking forward to doing something with that, and then when you got into it, you're like, F this whole thing. I was like, oh man.
There's a lack of information. Like, if you really knew what you're doing, maybe you could sort of pick it up. But from what I saw in UGC, especially at the start, even the more experienced people weren't sure what to do or how to do it, what was going on. And I sort of loaded up the files once and looked at it and just went, yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And moved on.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, so it does appear to be very much a reskin.
Yeah.
Again, is there any point besides you're going to be featured as the centerpiece in the Wonderland? Okay, and you can win prizes. Okay, that's pretty good. But what is there for the rest of the community to get involved in?
Look, ultimately, this is a good. To me, it's a step in the right direction. I would like to see Upland stop making stuff, stop selling their structural ornaments each season, and turn it over to UGC. I'd like them to focus on getting things like the UI and other stuff that they're trying to do right, and let us. I mean, even things like your directors, block explorer, stuff like that. Let UGC do it. Like all this creative stuff. Let UGC do it. They're way more creative than whoever their minions are over at Upland doing whatever they're doing, and they've got the time on their hands. And pay them in-game assets or rewards or UpX or Sparklet or whatever it takes. I mean, to get someone like a D-Tech on board with his experience and skill, obviously it's amazing, but there's plenty of other people willing to try and, throw their hand up and have a crack at stuff. I love having my stuff in the game and people appreciating it and buying it and stuff like that. So to me,
some time too.
Well, that's what they should be focusing on layer 0, or the core of the game, not all this other stuff. I honestly think they should be just getting that right and letting all the other. I mean, UGC is almost a layer 2 sort of experience, and to me, Upland should have nothing to do with layer 2.
Yes,
I know they want to try and make money, but they're not making money from structural ornaments anymore. They haven't even sold half this season's ones.
Yeah, they don't even sell. Yep. So yeah, there's another thing here for UGC creators, the Holiday Pajamas Challenge. We've seen this previously, a similar thing. So this seems to be a copy and paste of that sort of stuff too.
Yeah.
Meme pajamas, so it's a hoodie thing. Yes. All right. Well, I've already got my holiday season. I keep mine on. This is from D-Tech. I've got my holiday jumper on, the Mad Santa thing. I'm set and ready to go. So I won't be switching over to that. Myself,
is this like a I'm trying to think, like a template, and then you just fill it in, or are they having you make like a whole, sweater or pajama set, or are you just like filling in what they've already kind of sized for you?
I haven't
stay
done it,
there?
so I personally don't know. I mean, this will be a DTEC question or some of the other UGCs that have created them. I'm willing to bet it's a template.
You would think so. You would have to
Yeah.
be, but there's no link here for it. Prices.
There,
Yeah.
it'll probably be. In fact, if you go to let me have a look in the BitHub.
Requirements. Oh, yeah. Look, download the holiday
Oh,
pajama
yep.
template provided by
Yeah.
Upland, ensuring the design meets the tech specs. Yep.
So if you go to
Customize the
BitHub,
template. Blah, blah, blah.
yeah, if
Yep.
you go to BitHub, there's templates in there, and wearables is one of them.
Well, how hard
Yep.
could it be with the template? We throw some Krampus on there. We add some dangly lights, and then we're done. Bada bing, bada boom. We got a freaking pajama.
To be fair, probably not hard at all.
Especially with
It's just
AI.
It's just that for me personally, it's just that unknown
Yeah,
of
AI.
you got that learning curve at the start, so it might take you 10 times as long to do it the first time just to sort of get your head around it, and then after that you get faster, and before you know it, you're knocking them out.
Swally, that's why I
like
have you.
Structure Ornaments. Yeah, I do too much for you already.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But I could always use another Swarly tirade in our little chats. Those are always fun.
Yeah, well, we might get one coming up here in a minute. We'll see how we go.
Ooh, exciting.
I'm trying to stay half full, not half empty, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah. My kind of overall take with that sort of things is, the UGC stuff, these sort of events is great, and especially that they're doing it so far forward now for the actual, this is all Christmas stuff, and we're way before Christmas. That's great, but what's the, they have the flash challenges here and there, but and maybe it's just that I'm disengaged a fair bit. I just felt Halloween was all community based. Like we saw what Creedmoor did and whatnot. But if you're not somebody who's active in the Discords and see that, maybe you're going to miss out on it. Because I know back in the day, Upland used to organise, parades and a whole bunch of different things that the community used to get together and do within the layer one. I know they want to push further and further away from that to onto the layer 2s and the 3s and who knows what else, but I don't know. Just seems not super engaging.
I've said it before. I think there should be seasonal challenges for just the best dressed property, the best decorated property. Take a shot, tag it on this Twitter or X, whatever, and have prizes for that. And that should be not so much in game because you're trying to get the Upland out there in the real world. So
that's what let us put pictures in the chat in those.
Well, in game would be good, but I try and avoid chatting with in game. I hate it in game. I just hate you can't copy and paste. You can't put pictures in there. You can't. It's so limiting.
Oh, and if you say poo, it deletes your message. It's
vulgar.
It's stupid.
I can't even brand myself in there without them blocking it. It's the most infuriating thing.
Yeah. It's supposed to be only adults are allowed to play this thing, but apparently not. Yeah, that's quite frustrating. Right. Well, before we kick over to the roadmap stuff, I said at the onset of the show that I received a DM. Now, normally I don't just broadcast DMs that I get, but this one tags myself and a whole bunch of other people in it. So I guess the information's free to get out there. I was aware that a whole bunch of people had recently been jailed as part of treasure hunting shenanigans, which just from an overall perspective, I personally thought, oh, good, they're finally doing something about it. But as I have said for a very long time, I think pretty much anybody who sticks around for long enough in this game, everybody's destined to end up in Alcatraz at some stage, guilty by association. The way there's so many layers to these onions of all these different trades that people do. If they're just looking at the base data of that, it's quite difficult to unpack all that. It seems a few people have been caught up in that kind of shenanigans, and very much so Jaded Priest. Now, this is an extensive email. I will read through it because he's put a lot of an effort into putting this all out there. So hopefully it can be resolved. He says, "Hello, everyone. This same message has been sent to," and then he lists a whole bunch of people, myself included. "I chose you all because you are Upland community leaders in one capacity or another, and I haven't spoken to any of you directly about this matter before now. Some of you may be aware that I am among 10 players that have recently been accused of cheating in treasure hunting. I made this post in Upland General a couple of days ago, laying out the reasons why it makes no sense that anyone can make this claim against me. I have also made all the same points and more in my emails to Upland support, but they insist that they cannot be wrong. They have not disputed any of the facts laid out in the post, and everything is verifiable on the blockchain. I try to avoid making the above public post or involving you all to prevent the impression that I am using public sentiment to cover my guilt. I am absolutely certain that a mistake has been made, so thought the matter would be resolved quickly, but given how things have developed since the accusation was delivered against me, I find myself with no choice but to use all means to fight against this injustice." So I'll just pause there and say, yeah, I mean, it's the system is very much a guilty until proven innocent. I'm not against that sort of approach for these sort of things. In some cases, especially if you're dealing with people's assets and whatnot, that may be used to protect people against nefarious actors that will inevitably scoop some innocent people up. I don't know how much truth there is into what Jaded Priest has already said there. He appears to, but it seems like he can, defend himself pretty well with everything, as he said, verifiable on the blockchain. It seems that he's been poo-pooed in the onset. Before I read any further, has this been on your radar at all? I know there's a few people been butthurt about getting jailed, but some of them it seems very reasonable.
No, not me personally.
No.
I disconnected from treasure hunting and I don't get onto general very much, so no, not for me.
Yeah, not either.
Yeah. Sixwick says, "Is there a spot where the rules of Upland are spelt out?" Yeah, absolutely. There's the terms of service that pretty much outlines everything that you want in there. The terms of service documents are very broad in scope. They pretty much cover their ass for everything, which is, it's not an Upland thing. That's just general gamey sort of thing. Where do we go on? To carry on with what he said, "I have requested evidence of my guilt. Anything that shows I have gained an unfair advantage over other players or something unusual about my account. They have still not provided any evidence to me. They have decided I must be guilty, permanently jailed my account, and have no means of defending myself against their accusations." I don't know if that means, because we have seen some players say, "You are in Alcatraz, you will not be released under any circumstances." That has happened previously. I don't know if this is a case of that. Of course, the typical system is, hey, you're in jail because you did X, you have to pay a certain amount of remissions to be pulled out and whatnot. It seems permanently jailed seems like it may be the former, not the latter in this case. Does he go on to say, "If this continues as a compromise and gesture of good faith in seeking a resolution, I would like to suggest that the evidence be provided to you to look at and judge for yourselves if there is any merit to their accusation. I much rather prefer trusted third parties like yourself to take a look at the evidence and will accept what you decide." For myself personally, I'm not going to dive into any of that. Because I'm not much of a blockchain whiz. You could probably piecemeal it all together, but it seems like that's something that it wouldn't matter what I said anyway. Whatever I found, the only way out of this would be to work with Upland support. It's pretty disappointing if they've just said, "No, not interested, you're in jail," and that's the end of that. He goes on to say, "To be clear, I support efforts by Upland to root out cheating players in the game. I have tried in the past to get Upland to do more in this area and even enlisted the help of Uplando in his capacity as an Upland mod to push some of my reports 2 years ago. Arbitrarily accusing people without providing evidence will cause more harm than good. Out of the 10 players accused, I'm certain that 2 are cheating and one of them recently admitted to it. There are 7. The other 7 are incredibly fast and have had fingers pointed at them over time, so I can't vouch for anyone but myself. All my co-accused hunt in all tier 1 and 2 tier 2 cities and travel between cities because they are fast enough to win in all of them. I'm the odd one out of the 10. I mainly hunt in Nashville because it is the one city in Upland that heavily rewards familiarity with the city, and I have the best hunting web in the city. I also hunt in London and Rio sometimes because I also have good webs there, and they are avoided by fast hunters because of the distance and reward. Considering what is happening to me, I cannot help but assume that they might be as much victims of false accusations as myself. If Upland has gotten it wrong with me, then there is a chance that they have done the same to them. As I mentioned earlier, I originally thought there must be an artifact in their data which would easily identify, but their insistence on the unimpeachability of their data and inability to provide any evidence points to something else. The way they've gone about addressing this serious matter stinks to the highest heavens. It is beginning to look like I'm being targeted. I will send a Discord DM to X1 and Twitter DM to Danny, but because these will be unsolicited DMs, I do not know what response I'll get from them. I am never uncivil in any interaction with other players or staff. I can answer any questions you have, but I prefer to do it in group text chat. Yada, yada, yada. Thanks. All right. So, yeah, that's an unfortunate situation. As I said, I think, it's inevitable that people are going to get caught up in this sort of situations, guilty by association or whatnot. It does seem weird that if you got accused of something and you've put in the effort to address all of the accusations, and then that's not being looked at or considered as a kind of back and forth protest, that seems very strange to me.
Look, it's always scared the living shit out of me, and I'll put that as bluntly as I can, that to me at least it seems like judge, jury, executioner with no right of appeal in any situation, regardless of whether you're guilty or not. That scares the living crap out of me, especially when I live in a house with the missus that also plays the game. She's nowhere near as interested in the game as I am, and basically have to drag her out of bed for the city releases, stuff like that. So I try, and we don't do a lot of deals with each other because of that sense, but I try to, when we do one, try and make it a fair deal, so at least I can argue that the deal was made in line with what the market values are, stuff like that. Scared shitless that one day Upland will go, oh no, you made too many deals with the same person, clearly you're colluding or something like that. It scares the crap out of me. And to think you just get thrown in jail and no right of appeal or avenue of escape or whatever. It's not like you can roll double and get out. So I don't. But I mean, again, is there an avenue maybe that they can just ban cheating from people that are cheating in treasure hunting? Just ban them from treasure hunting. Can they pick out an account and go, right, just turn that treasure hunting feature off for that account? Like, if that's what they're doing, I mean, if they can treasure hunt cheat, well, then they can probably have other bots and stuff like that too. So I don't know. But again, you just ban that account from treasure hunting, they'll just go treasure hunt on a different account. It's like, I don't know.
And it sounds like maybe there wasn't even like a warning. There was no like, hey, we've noticed this nefarious activity on your account, stop immediately or else. There should be something. I know I had a recent situation, I won't name any names, but where I was kind of almost automatically assumed to be doing something wrong that I wasn't, and then I had to explain in great detail. Luckily, I was able to have the conversation, and they didn't just straight up ignore me. But I even got warned to stop doing what I was doing over something that I thought was just absolutely ridiculous. And then it was radio silence. I'm like, all right, well, can I do it this way? And it was like, nope, there's no avenue for this. So I don't know, just stop. And I'm like, okay. And so I did, but it was ridiculous, and it was over something really, really minor. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Upland in this regard. They need to do something different with how they manage disciplinary action within the game, because like Swarley's saying, being the judge, jury, and executioner is not an appropriate method, I don't think.
Yeah, it does seem very heavy-handed. Unfortunately, I did miss out on what Swarley said there. My internet just dropped out for a second there. Could you give me a quick recap of what you said, Swarley? Sorry, I lost all of that.
Basically, just what Elsack said, that it scares the crap out of me that Upland have total power. Like we know that they've got the hand of God. That's fine. But the fact that it seems to me, and people that have reached out before and have, have been issued like $1 million UPX fine or something like that, which they don't have the means to sell properties to raise the capital for to pay. But there's no avenue of, appeal or, even if, and I'm not suggesting that Jaded Priest is or isn't guilty. I wouldn't have a clue, never dived into his account or anything like that. But it scares the living crap out of me that, you can get accused of something whether you're guilty or not. I think it was Green Turtle that got thrown in jail a couple of years back for doing something that wasn't illegal, just something to do with nodes. I can't remember what the issue was. And the communication with Upland, whether to me, has been absolutely horrible on any level. And to think that that's what you're going to rely on if you get thrown in jail to try and communicate with someone whose method of communicating with you is to send you a notice saying X, Y, Z and then ignore you, that scares the living crap out of me. I would love to see some sort of transparent method where they can deal with these sort of accounts. But the other thing I suggested was, if people are cheating with treasure hunting, can't we just stop them from treasure hunting so they can still play the game, just can't treasure hunt?
Yes,
I don't know.
catch that at the end. Yeah,
I know that they can block certain features. I was talking to somebody the other day that they got into a spat with some Upland people, and they just turned off one of their features that they just can't use it anymore, which I thought was really bizarre. But I mean, they do have the hand of God. They can essentially do whatever they want. You would think that it would make sense for them, again, at least give a warning, give them like a written report or something as to why this has happened. And let's be honest, I mean, these people are human. Technology has flaws. People are going to make mistakes. To think that you're never going to make a mistake, or that you could potentially be wrong in your execution, is a massive flaw. And that's not, I don't know, that doesn't give a lot of hope to anybody who spends any amount of time in the game long term. To me, that's a really ugly look.
So, Vape, just in relation to your comment, mate, I agree with you that most games, if you're talking of things like Call of Duty or Fortnite or something like that, 100% ban. But people haven't put in thousands of dollars to have instantly locked up that they can't.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, tens of thousands. I mean, I put in roughly 15 grand, I think, give or take. Not to mention how much Sparklet I have and what that's currently worth, or potentially worth in the future. So you can't treat this just like any other game. Yes, I get that they've got to be on top of it and they've got to treat cheaters the way they've got to treat them. No problems there, but
they don't outright just straight ban you for life either. Like, I've been kicked off of Call of Duty for like 48 hours before I got a warning. I don't even know what I did, honestly, but I did something. Apparently I broke some rule and they kicked me off. I couldn't play online for 48 hours. And that was enough to say, well, I don't know what I did, but whatever I was doing, I just stopped doing. Haven't had an issue since, but they'll give you some sort of warning. There's a progressive discipline, not just straight up, you're done.
But it depends. It depends on the level of cheating too. I mean, like in Fortnite, there used to be a lot of teaming. So you'd be in a solo game, but two people would just run alongside each other, shooting everybody else. And then they'll get a warning and they'll be banned for 24 hours or something like that. But then you get another player that would use some sort of wall hack or something like that, or an aimbot, and then they'll get permanently banned straight off the bat. So it depends on the level of cheating. So it's not just a one solution fits all sort of thing. But
usually that stuff is also reported by other users too. So that's something that other people have seen, and then the devs or the people catch wind of it, and then they take action.
I think
not very often.
Little from A, little from B. I know I've seen it happen, like with streamers and stuff like that. I've seen it where it just pops up a warning in game saying warning that you're teaming or something like that. Just if you've been hanging within a range of another player without shooting at them, it just sort of must have some sort of auto. Anyway, again, that's the point I was trying to make, is you can't compare Upland to any normal game, because Upland isn't any normal game, because you don't put in tens of thousands of dollars and have that instantly locked up because Upland have decided that you're guilty of something, regardless of whether you are. And even if you are guilty, does that mean you shouldn't be entitled to get something back? I don't know. Like,
it'd be like being banned from a crypto exchange and you hold a bag of crypto that's only available on that exchange. It's very strange. As I said, I think the guilty by association feature, plenty of people have been caught up in that web. So if you woke up one day and your account is in jail, that's not unprecedented. What would be is if that you reached out to support and said, "Hey, why am I in jail?" And they would say, "Well, you're in jail because of X, Y, Z." And if you turn around and say, "Well, that's not true because here's all the blockchain data," and if they completely ignore that and said, "No, too bad, so sad," that would be unprecedented. Not having an open right of reply, that seems very strange. So I don't know. Hopefully this gets sorted out. Jaded Priest, I had a look at before, account worth 20 million UPEX, so it's not a tiny, it's not a tiny account by any stretch of the imagination. So hopefully it can be resolved.
Even if you liquidated that account in 24 hours, you'd still look at 30% of that. So what's that about? 4 or 5 grand.
Yeah.
Not to mention Sparklet. So yeah.
Yes, very. Faye says, "Do you deserve to keep gains that you accrued through nefarious means? If some of it is dirty, how much more could be?" Yeah, I mean it's very complex, but it like Jaded said, it is blockchain based. So if you've been accused of something specific, it's blockchain. So obviously, if you are the accused, you wouldn't expect support to put all the time and effort into, finding all the data to say why you're guilty, but you should be able to say, to put the time and effort in yourself to defend yourself and have a right of reply if you're going to defend yourself and put all the effort in to get all that data.
I would assume that, given that I've got a law enforcement background, I would assume that Upland had some sort of evidence that can show that there was some sort of bot or some sort of coding that was interacted with their coding to give an advantage. And without that sort of evidence, that they wouldn't take the stance that they've taken. I mean, they mustn't have been able to do that before they shut it down for however long they shut down treasure hunting for. Now they must be able to monitor that better, and I'd only assume that that's what they've done.
But at the same time, Swarley, being in a branch of law enforcement myself, there are times where I've gotten it wrong, where I was 100% certain I was right and I was wrong.
Well, that's where the transparency needs to come into it. So
yeah, exactly.
Like, no one's suggesting that Upland will get it right every single time, and I don't think anybody will expect that they get it right every single time. But I would expect that they'll. Like I said, the biggest thing that scares me is the fact that they'll make a decision and then that's it. They'll let you know the decision and then they'll just cut off all communication with you, and that's the end of the day. And that's what scares the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm. The only time I've seen, or the only times I've seen that where you're permanently banned and that's it, there's no recourse, is when people have been overtly personal in their attacks on X and all over the place, just going full meltdown mode. In those sorts of situations where you're talking about dozens of terms of service violations, that may be justified. But if this is some kind of in-game thing, I don't know. It seems very complex, very scary.
Bottom line is, Upland's got the evidence to prove that these players are cheating. And when we first met and spoke, you did the interview with me, and you asked me why I never got into competitive treasure hunting. My answer was straight off the bat, because I'm not convinced that it's clean. And that's never changed. So if Upland do have the evidence and they're banning players for cheating, happy days. I mean, I've been against bots in this game since day one. The trading bots that will buy and sell properties, because it's not a level playing field. It's like using steroids in a sporting event. Like, you're having an advantage over everybody else, and that's what I disagree with. I mean, a bot is effectively a trading platform. So you can go buy Bitcoin on an exchange at a set price. Happy days. So if Upland are allowing people to buy a property at a set price, bring it to everybody or don't bring it at all. It's as simple as that. So either allow everyone to do it and create that application, create that whatever it needs to be, so I can go, right, if a property collection comes up at 30% mint and certain whatever, and I've got the UPEX to buy it or the USD to buy it, then I'll set the order, and if it comes through, happy days. If not, If everyone can do it, happy days. If everyone can't do it, well, then piss it off. Get rid of the bots out of the game altogether. And if people are cheating, I'm not suggesting Jade Priest is or isn't, I wouldn't have a clue. But I'd assume that Upland have the evidence. And if they're going to ban players that are cheating, happy days, bring it on.
Yeah, likely they have a pretty good reason for doing it.
Yeah, I mean, some of that treasure hunting cheating was so overt. Like you're talking about 45 treasures in a rush where, you know, even the fastest hunters imaginable were getting 20 something off. You know, it's just completely unrealistic.
Take it from someone, I forget what my stats are, but take it from someone that did something like 50,000 treasure hunts in 2 years or whatever, 60,000 or something like that. I got pretty good at treasure hunting Queens, but I couldn't even get close to the top 50 in the treasure rushing Queens. And I barely ever tried it, to be fair. I was more focused on accuracy rather than speed. So I could do more rather than doing faster. But the speeds that people are doing it blew my mind. I'm like, I don't know how they do it so fast, especially when they say they do it without a web, stuff like that. It blew my mind. And again, maybe they know something and understood it at a different level than I did. But like I said, I was never convinced that it was ever clean, and I stayed away from competitive as a result. Standard hunting was well and truly lucrative up until they destroyed that by nerfing it and giving way more rewards for people that bought it.
Arguably destroyed it. Some people still love it, Swarley. Some people really are enjoying treasure hunting to this day. Just saying.
Okay. You find some. There wouldn't be too many OG treasure hunters that would go, yeah, it's still worth doing. Maybe for a new player.
Maybe not. But just trying to fill that cup. Buddy.
Yes. All right, we shall move on. Of course, the other big news was the roadmap update that came through. I've been chatting about this the last couple of nights, my time in Upland General. I personally found there was something missing from the very start of this. I think there should have been a double bold, size, double font thing up here to fix or optimize the base level foundations of the game to make it playable on iOS. If you've been hearing me on podcasts, I've been whining about that for the longest time. I've had some good back and forth in Upland General with Nosif, who was kind of playing devil's advocate almost, taking it from the Upland perspective. It's how do I summarize that? I splurged a whole bunch of stuff out, so maybe go through and have a look in Upland General. But basically, it's my belief that, and I've got no real evidence for this myself other than some game development experience and whatnot, I feel that the baseline code for Upland needs heavy optimizations, because as it stands at the moment now, I can play on my phone, I can play the most intense, graphically intense, high-speed 3D games on my phone without a problem, but I can't scroll into Midtown Terrace and look at a totem without a widescreen crashing. There's something wrong there. Now, Upland has come back recently and said, we're really restrictive in what we can get away with as far as RAM usage or something like that. A lot of it's out of our control. There may be some truth to that. I don't know, but I can't imagine that optimization doesn't play a role in this, because we know when this problem first started, it was when 3D assets first came on board with buildings construction. That's when the problem started, and we've seen this become progressively worse and worse and worse as the UGC content creators and all of the various maps start to get built out. This wasn't something that just suddenly happened. This is something that has been building up for years and years, been raising the red flag about it for years and years, and obviously they must be doing something about it, but there's certainly no evidence of it within the app. Nosif's take on it was, well, you just got a shitty old phone. Well, I've got an iPhone 14. It's not that old. I think the latest and greatest one's an iPhone 16. If you look at the Upland app, it says needs to be played on iPhone 13 and above, so it should work flawlessly on my device, but it doesn't. I can't do anything in Upland anywhere near a built-out area without just a series of widescreen crashes, and it's also on Chrome on my laptop. If I move map assets around, it's nowhere near as bad as on iOS, but it is still a factor on Chrome as well. So I can't, for the life of me, I can't believe that it's not an optimization issue. If if that's got nothing to do with it whatsoever, I'd gladly eat my words. I love Upland. I want to be able to play Upland on my phone. At present, I can't, and that's just the reality, the boots on the ground reality. So yeah, I want to see, I want to hear some effort being made to fix that, because you look at the first point they got here, major user acquisition projects. I don't want Upland to do a massive push for mainstream adoption to get a whole bunch of users on board that are going to download this game on their phone. They're going to scroll into some area or try and do something. Or hell, even just look at the chat. You can't look at the chat on iPhone without it crashing, or try and scroll down to the bottom of the announcements page without it white screen crashing. If I was a new user to this game and that was one of my first experiences, I'd go, well, clearly this isn't ready for anything. Delete. I only put up with it because I've been around for so long, and I know the history of the game. So that's my long-winded rant to get this kicked off. Any thoughts and opinions on that before we continue?
I agree with you. 99, well, pretty much 100%. I use Brave mostly, and not saying, I mean, it's basically a clone of Chrome anyway, so it has the same problems. So sometimes it just gets in a mood where it just will not move an asset. It doesn't matter how many times I try, refresh the page, shut it down, open it up, it just goes, nah, I'm not doing it. And then I'll get on my phone, on my Apple phone, and move it without a problem. I'm like, WTF? What the hell? Just like, hang on, the phone's supposed to be the way worse one. But in terms of user acquisition, there's a reason why ChatGPT was the fastest growing membership of anything in the world ever in the history of anything. Okay, granted, it was free to just sign up and start using it and play around with it. But it went from 0 to 20 million subscribers in like less than a month or something, because it was good, because people were interested and wanted to, and it wasn't because they advertised it or they had a big push on Twitter campaign or something like that. It's because someone liked it and went, yeah, this is great, and showed it to their mate who showed it to 2 more mates, and so on and so on. The problem is we're not having that in Upland at the moment. Like, I'm not trying to talk my mates into playing Upland because I'm not convinced myself that the way things are going are fantastic. And I'd like to see Upland certainly improve on certain areas, which we'll cover soon. But to me, keeping the core players happy and making them love the game and see the potential in the game, which we do, which is why we're here and why we love it so much, that's, we will grow the community by getting our mates, who then we'll get 2 more mates and so on. I'm not saying we're going to get 20 million in a month, but the game will certainly grow if you keep the players that you got and make it work, basically. I mean, how long have we had whinging and bitching about UGC not being able to move map assets or doing it one at a time, which is so painful? When Upland have the ability to make that streamline so much faster, I mean, you can see from their own accounts, like the Upland Bureau account, how you say it, they do it automatically and play stuff automatically. They have the ability, they have the feature there. I mean, make it a premium if they have to and charge us a little bit of money each month. But, I'm sure most UGC creators would pay a small fee to have some sort of assistance there. But you're having all these UGC creators going, fuck it, it's not worth the time and effort to move these things one at a time to get a couple of thousand upticks. I've been working with a couple of track owners to try and start putting some track fencing out there, and I've been spending 3-4 hours a night just moving track pieces one at a time. And oh my God, am I over it? And I've literally only just started doing it this week.
Yep, it's quick to burn out. Absolutely. Sure. Elslack, what's your thoughts?
I mostly agree with Sparley on this. I mean, as much as I like, major user acquisitions, I would rather not even know about it until they have something to announce. Like, don't tease me, because that's just going to piss me off when I come to find out that more details coming in Q1 and I come to find out it's not showing up till Q4, maybe never at all. I just don't even say anything about it, right? And just you need to build some good faith within the community and start, like you were saying, with your optimization. Start with the stuff at the bottom where they're talking about fixing the search function and filtering and stuff. That's the stuff that I think really people are going to care about and people are going to get really excited about. Maybe the user acquisition thing could be at the bottom. I think that they prioritize that stuff, and it's clear here how they prioritize these things. they should
Yes.
rethink how they prioritize these things, and what people really care about. It wouldn't hurt if they use their voting thing, or make a poll, or say, hey, what do you guys really want to hear about in the Q4? What should we be focusing on? I know they talked about using the that feedback was it feedback form or whatever, or the feedback board. I mean, if you're dedicated to that, if that's truly something that you're passionate about, and you're saying you want to push, then make that your focal point. Make that your number one thing. What are the numbers of things that you're seeing in there more often than anything else? I guarantee you it's going to be optimization. I guarantee you it's going to be functionality. It's not going to be people asking about major user acquisitions or other, fluff, that may or may not happen. Do the things that you can control yourself right now, and that's changing the game and improving the things that you're in control of, not the things that are dependent on other people or other organizations or other companies to kind of fall in line. Just manage the things that you know you can manage, and deliver that to the people and make them happy. That's kind of where I stand with this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been jumping up and down and screaming into the void about it for years and years and years. Yeah, I don't think the foundational app is ready for major users at all.
Not.
It's tricky because it's a short-sighted thing versus a long-term thing. The short-sighted version, it costs to optimize code, especially, which now I've got no evidence, of course, but I would assume, based on the age that Upland has been around, I would be very surprised if the same coders who are working on it now are the same coders who started this process. It's more than likely a case where you've got a few, probably dozens of different coders that have been working on this as employees. If you've ever done anything with writing code, if you don't comment your own code, if you go and look at it again in a month or two, you're going to think, what the hell was I doing here? Try and fix somebody else's code up, you'll pull your hair out. Code optimization is an absolute nightmare. It's soul-destroying work, and it is very expensive if you're a company like Upland who has to pay for that process. So that's the kind of short-sighted approach. But if you don't do it, if you don't pull the Band-Aid off and just fix it up, this problem ain't going to go away. The Upland map is hardly built out at all from a grand perspective of things. We want to encourage UGC. We want that to expand. The problem's only going to get worse and worse and worse. Last night we're kind of joking around with Nosif. I said, well, maybe Upland just needs to change the app description to say requires iPhone 16 and above. And then when the iPhone 17 comes out, to say it requires the iPhone 17. They can just front load it all with your device is too shitty.
Or just say only use Android. Just if you're an Apple user, just switch to Android. I don't know how many times I tell you guys this.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution.
I mean, having the latest greatest phone, it will help in some respects, but again, that's a band-aid. You're not fixing the underlying problem that's there.
Right.
Yeah. Again, that's my pure speculation, but I cannot imagine, having been with this game for as long as I have, that I can't imagine that it isn't a factor, and that it isn't a significant factor. So yeah,
it's like they've identified the issue is we don't have enough players and we need to get more players. Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's a person that will disagree with that statement. But the solution isn't, we'll go advertise and bring them to the game, because they're going to rock up and go, what the fuck? And not stick around. That retention is the problem, and that's everyone
for the long term. Yep.
And everybody in the game, and listen to the people that have been here from day one, even people longer than myself. Like, I'm coming up to 3 years, but listen to the people that have been playing this, the OG players, and what the problems are, and fix those problems. I mean, if you can't keep the OG players interested in the game, how the hell are you going to keep new players interested in the game?
Well, I think part of the problem is that you need money to fix the. You need money to hire more people, to hire better people to fix the problems, and you need to get more people in the game to make more money to fix the problems. It's a double-edged sword here. I mean, you have it's a catch-22. You have to bring people in to get the money to fix the overhead problem. to
I would.
make a bigger team to get these things done. But at the same time, are you going to even keep the people that are there because your problem, especially, is so segmented between Android or PC and Apple?
So I would argue against that in the sense that they keep introducing new stuff in the game that we don't need, or it's not like planes. Planes have been around. Planes have been around for how long now? But what purpose do they have? Like, I mean, I don't own a plane. I'm asked. I guess maybe I should ask someone that actually owns one, and what advantage do they get from having one? But instead of having planes, why aren't we having trucks working? Or, I like just the focus seems to be on expanding rather than fixing the core and then working out from there. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, it's from my perspective, as I said, as somebody who's created games, it appears to be a classic case of feature creep. In my own personal game development, you want to put new features in because it's fun to do. It's way more fun to implement this new mechanic and put that in the game rather than to fix up your old code to fix up some bugs you may have created. But what happens is you get a snowball where every new feature that you put in adds complexity to the base foundation. And eventually, I've done it myself with games, you just got to say, righto, I got to fix this thing because it's horrendous. Now, there is precedent within Upland of doing this. So go back to city releases. City releases used to be an absolute cluster F. Go back to the Brooklyn Burns and whatnot. And that was when the community was tiny. Now we're having city releases with far more users, massive minting, works flawlessly, so that they can do it. There is an ability to do there, but it would be a painful process and expensive, as I said. So that was a lot of words before we even got to the second point. So major user acquisitions. We've seen this with the market data. We know the game desperately needs new blood, new money, however you want to look at it. However, is the app ready? And I think it might have been somebody said, I don't think the Upland's ready for it, or the community's ready for it. Who said that? Vape High Guy. In my opinion, Upland is not prepared for major user influx. More importantly, we as a creating community are not ready either. You
can't try and expect get 1 million users if they're going to open up the app, go to chat, and see it crash. That's the first problem. Like those minor, that's what I want to see Upland fix. All those sort of little buggy things, like it makes me happier. Now, I'm not going to get excited and go, "Woohoo, Upland, you rule," because you fixed all these little bugs. It should just have already been done. But bringing this new and exciting stuff into the game, great if it's all working. But let's just go back to step one and get it right from the beginning first. Anyway, let's move on.
We're coming up on Upland's 7th year of development, and some of these things that they go on here, addressing community feedback. There's a lot of good stuff in here. The second focus area is dedicated to tackling our backlog of community feedback. Yes, share it to CERN S4. We've categorized these items based on development time, larger projects, yada, yada, yada. Now, one of the things, I don't know whether they mentioned it, or is this what they say in here? Sparklet utility. They mentioned, didn't they say, putting a search feature in? Yeah. Property search enhancements filtering. Well, hallelujah. Yeah, like you said, Swally, this is something that should have been in from the get-go. And this is something that has been requested for 4 years or more. So, it's, well, what did you say? I'm not going to give you a pat on the back for something that should have been already done, sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's good that they're doing it, but
I think the comment I made was it's like you've teenage child getting up in the morning and expecting praise for making their bed. It's something that should have just been done from the get-go. It's great that's in the white. It's great that's in this not to say white paper, in this roadmap, and sweet. It'd be something looking forward to. I mean, I'd love to optimize my collection, but God knows I am not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. The way at the moment, trying to scroll through and look for certain properties, it is just an absolute nightmare. So if they do bring this in, and you can, even if you just ordered it in some sort of order, like from alphabetical, so the numbers or whatever, just some sort of system so you can even find it. But to be able to search, obviously that'd be ideal. I'm not a coder. I don't understand why it's so bloody hard for them to bring that in when it's in other areas of the game, such as property swapping. And obviously, another way, like if you're looking for a particular asset, like just say for any map asset and you want a particular mint for that map asset, easiest way to find that is to go for a global search and then sort your map asset out by mint number. Like, you can't even just go to your own little UI and find, like, just how can you not search your own, So look, positive steps forward.
Thousands of those.
So these are the sort of things they do need to fix and get right if they want to improve the retention.
And before the mainstream user acquisition. Yeah. So Sparklet utility, energized travel with Sparklet. This feature will allow staking Sparklet for travel. We've been expecting this for a while with car travel and aeroplanes as the next step. Yeah, well, what about trucks? Where's that whole system? Transportation mechanic for map assets and everything, crates and whatnot.
Bring it on. I think this one scares me because I don't know how they're going to implement it. I mean, at best guess, Sparklet is 4x since the TGE. If they 4x to the prices, there's going to be a massive price shock and a lot of pissed off players. I think it needs to be, all this sort of stuff needs to be introduced kind of like the interest rates, where they go, right, we're going to eventually end up at such and such a value, but we'll just do it bit by bit over the next few seasons or quarters or whatever they want to do.
0.5% there.
Yeah, that type of scenario, maybe not 0.5%, but that type of scenario, because they just go, right, as of, we're going to make it 4x from what it is now, and as of the start of next season, it's going to be 4x. There's going to be a lot of players just going, WTF, nah, I'm done.
Well, to play devil's advocate about that, we've known this was coming for more than 2 years. So obviously we don't know the actual nitty-gritty of the figures, but you couldn't throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, this is bullshit. I opened a MetaVenture and I didn't know I was going to have to do this, unless you're a brand new user. If you've been around for any length of time, you knew this was coming. That's the reason I spent an ungodly amount of UpX buying up bloody vans, cargo vans and all sorts of stuff. Geez, that must have been probably 2 years ago, because it was when I was in Japan last. It's precisely why I did it and why I haven't sold them, because I'm expecting this to come through at some stage. Well, here it comes.
So look, and it's great. I mean, any Sparklet utility is good too. So I 100% agree.
Yes.
I mean, the car side of things, happy days. From what I understand, it's only for travel. It's not for racing, at least at this stage. Maybe I hope that's on the roadmap for racing as well down the track. You've got to have your race cars all sparked up before you go to a race or something like that. So you got to prepare for your race, maybe the day before or something like that. Or
yes,
I was really hoping to see something with they had talked previously about the legits, like being able to make legits. I was hoping to see something like that with Spark, but nothing.
That's another thing on the roadmap or on the white paper. It's somewhere in the to-do list. Who knows how far down? And that'll be involving burning of Spark, which would be interesting too. See how that dynamic works.
But I think that would be good.
It'd be good.
Be great, actually.
If it is burned, but then they're talking about reallocating it to projects as well. So it depends on what they do with it.
Right.
All right. It goes on transportation and travel. Now, this is one of those things that should have. Well, it needs to front load any mainstream push. Simplified travel experience. Responding to community feedback, travel will be simplified for new and experienced players alike. Travel fees will remain the same, but journeys will be initiated with a single click. Yeah, imagine trying to explain to a new person how to get to bloody somewhere in, the Manhattan, Queens area.
I was about to say,
you've got to go here, but you've got to go way up there so you can get a train back to here. Like it's such a complicated process. The
classic example there, and you're pretty much on the nail on the head there, is when you land at JFK, at New York Airport Fleet, you get to the train station, you should be able to just select which one of the 5 nodes you want to go to from that. Not go to Queens, wait 3 minutes for that travel, and then go to Bronx or wherever you want to go to from there. That was just ridiculous. Now, I was always Queens, so it didn't really bother me so much. But that would have pissed the hell off me. If I was always going to Bronx or Manhattan or something like that, that would have pissed me off. That I've got to sit there and wait 3 minutes for it to get there, disembark, then re-embark to go. So 100%, this is a step in the right direction. Well done.
Yeah, that's a massive pain. This is a big improvement. This is a big pat on the back.
So
yes. Sorry, I just realised that the hashtag UGC for the win when my internet dropped it. Oh no, I just refreshed and it's back there. Forget what I was going to say. Moving on. So yeah, that's very good. Free travel for new users. This is a good one too. Get people to travel around a bit because there's so many people in the past selected a city, no idea what they were doing, realised they've just landed in Manhattan. There's nothing to meet. They can't afford to go anywhere. So yeah, this is definitely a good adjustment. But again, one of those things that probably should have been in there and needs to front load any mainstream adoption.
But define new user because obviously an Upland 100%. But what do you call it? The visitor or whatever, then Upland. Like to me, it probably should be right through till you get to director level. In my opinion, like free travel, because you're not having that much income to begin with, and it's not like we get charged. Like it's not like it's a percentage based on our income that is what the fees are for travel, which it shouldn't be. But like for me, like for you, especially for you've said it before, like you don't even think twice when you fly from one country to another or whatever. You just do what you need to do and don't give two hoots. Which, you know, a return flight for some people is 3,000-4,000 uppies, which is a week's income.
Or if you're a pro, maybe that's a month.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I think right up to director level should be free. Because at the end of the day, like you want these players to stick around. Now, there's obviously when you get certain benefits by upgrading to director, including the block explorer. So that's when but that time you're already worth 1,000. I think it's 1 million UpX. So hopefully you're starting to get a decent income by that point, and that's just one of the disadvantages of upgrading, even though you get a lot of benefits. So that's I hope that's what they mean by new user, not just a visitor and that's it.
Well, they do say for a limited period, so I wonder if they're thinking they're like a month or 3 months or a season or who knows.
You want to encourage them to stick around. So again, in my opinion, it should be right up to the director. Once you hit that button to become a director, well then now you start paying for your fees in full. Maybe we go a step further and
owners throwing eggs on your home residence, Swally.
Good. Like seriously, I mean, how many people are we really talking about, and how much are they going to be missing out on? I mean, we're still going to have to pay. Well, that's still no, because that's not true. Because they still pay the send to get to the terminal, won't they? It's just the travel fee they don't pay.
It's free. Yeah, you're right. But aren't they supposed to receive a kickback?
They get a kickback. I mean, how much are pros and Uplanders really putting into the system as opposed to executives and
not much. There's only so much you can travel.
But I think the kickback later, if you get more people to that director level because they find it easier to get around the game and get an understanding of the game, we want them to start playing and get to director level. Once they're at director level, they should have enough understanding of the game, whether they're going to stick around or not. You make it too hard in the beginning, and they go, "Well, I get 6,000 UpX, but I spent 5,000 just getting to the city I wanted to be in." Like,
delete. These next two, now these are one of these ones where you go, okay, but how about? So we've got airplane utility. Players will be able to move airplanes to properties with hangars. Yes. Blah blah blah. In the future, the team will work on travel with airplanes. Okay, car rentals for speedway meta-venture races. If you're a speedway owner, that's good. I've got plenty of cars. I'd love to sit there and make them available for rent. That sounds good. But hang on a minute. What about if you're somebody like myself with a semi-trailer or a whole bunch of cargo vans or passenger vans, and you bought into that idea, like bought into it significantly? Where's the bloody utility for those?
It's like the same place where they left the iPhone optimization.
Start an Avis rental van.
We're supposed to have utility for these. Well, like, why is that not mentioned here? How could that not be mentioned here?
Can we just go back to basics and get the basics right? That's the least of my concerns, to be fair. Whether I can rent out a car for a couple of UpX a day or something, I don't know.
Put it on the feedback board,
it's about having a history. It's about having a history of fulfilling your promises and putting these things out and seeing things through to completion. Airplanes, that's just another new thing.
Yeah.
Roadmaps, you got to go back and you got to finish things that you've started. Otherwise, it's like I said, it's feature creep. It's just massive feature creep.
Or at least put something out to say, hey, we screwed the pooch on this one. This idea is dead. and just rip the Band-Aid off. Stop, dangling this carrot in front of people that may never happen.
Yeah.
If you're never going to bring out a trailer, just say, hey, sorry guys, we screwed up. Here's reparations for this failed idea.
I would argue that renting cars probably isn't. I mean, trucks maybe, but cars, I mean, they're not that expensive anyway. And if you want a car, you're just going to go buy one. I know, obviously, the
Not
F1
if you're a pro. If you're a pro, it's very unlikely you're going to be buying a car.
Yeah, maybe, but anyway. Do we want to answer KO's question?
What's he got here? What are everyone's thoughts on there being a certain qualifications time or level before someone can open a metaventure? Well, what's a roadblock at present? You have to have a certain property size. So if you're talking about UGC, that's already kind of probably well enough roadblocked as far as what you have to put in time and investment wise. As far as block explorer shops and all of that, I don't think so personally. I think if somebody wants to open a block explorer shop, good on them. Let them play with the market. Maybe that's their gateway into playing with the markets. They can take advantage of some block explorers that are out there or something like that. I don't know. Your thoughts? I think that system's pretty well gatekept as it is.
I think the gating is fine. I think the problem that ends up creeping up is that you can't sell that property, you can't decorate that, you can't do anything with that
on the
property.
back end, yeah.
And so if maybe at one point you're fine with it, or we'll just say I keep using a pro or something, and you can meet the minimum qualifications to open up a shop, and then you realize I really don't like how this is going, and then you abandon the game. Now this property is stuck, and you can't do anything with it.
You can
do it, but but it's not seamless. Yeah.
But if you're done with the game, you're not going to mess with support.
Oh, if you want to sell it, you will. If you want to sell that property, I've changed a few map asset showrooms into structural ornament showrooms by messaging support, removing everything from sale. They unlist it, then I can reapply for it. It's not that hard. It's a pain in the ass that it's not a simple, click a button and just
automated.
That you've got to rely on a minion to reply and answer it and fix it up, which can take a couple of days, but it is what it is. No, I UGC. I mean, that's what the game's all about. I've said it before. I let anyone create anything they want, within reason. Obviously, we don't want to be offensive or or anything like that. But I think give everybody an opportunity to participate in UGC or Metaventures, etc. But I know maybe the barrier to entry it is too low. Like, you got all these shops that are paying next to no fees. Like, there's so many shops out there. Like, do we need them all? Well, in the real world, shops will die because they're not making a profit. So maybe, if you're paying 2,000 or 3,000 UPEX a month for a shop that's not selling anything, well, you're probably going to shut it down, in my opinion. And if you don't pay the fees, Upland will shut it down. But they don't take away the orange dot, and they don't take away the stuff that's for sale, which a lot of people got butthurt over with the that burn event when they were flying to different cities to buy the block explorers, only to find out that the shop was shut.
That would be my only gripe with that. Like, I think maybe you're right on some aspects, but Upland needs to do some work on the back end to say, okay, if you haven't logged in for X amount of days and you have a shop and you haven't paid your venture dues, we're going to shut down your shop and move your assets back to wherever they need to go. But then allow that property to be done. So if you do just delete your account or whatever, you stop playing, at least it's not, this building isn't there and you're tricking people.
Yeah. Again, that's stuff I need to get right. So in terms of 6 weeks question, I haven't heard anything either. I'll just go with the average at the moment between totem seasons is 8 months. So wait 8 months if we haven't heard anything.
Well, it's one of those things that's glaringly missing from this particular roadmap update.
Look, I'd say wait for another potion sale, and then you'll get a hint that there'll probably be a second potion sale a month later, and then maybe another month after that we'll get the next totem season. That's just tongue in cheek.
Yes, properties, features, property search. We've already touched on that. It's one of those things that great, but it should have been in there. Blocking jailed users' properties from search. Hallelujah. That would be
awesome.
Well,
but it should have already been done. It should have just been removed. Like, how is it
Yep.
not an automatic thing where if they're not allowed to sell them? And again, that's another whole argument. Like, if you're in jail, why can't you sell your properties? Especially if you've got $1 million fine to pay to get out of jail. Why can't you sell shit to get out
Yep.
of jail? So
yeah.
So there's I think it's
Well,
not a
maybe-
black and white situation there, but I mean, if you're a person that's in jail with no avenue of escape because Upland's Hand of God said so, well, then just remove them all from sale. Like, they're never going to be able to sell them anyway. So why have the green squares and green dots on the map? Like, surely they have
Well,
that
I guess
power.
that gets back to the point that I think Elslack was making. I forget exactly what he said, but think of it this way: if you, he was talking about how far back do you go if people's accounts have been built on the various practices? How far back do you go to remediate that? Well, say you're in jail and you got a 1 million UPEX fine. If you could then just sell your in-game assets to pay that fine, well, you haven't really addressed the issue. But if you have to essentially go to the store and buy 1 million UPEX worth of a million UPEX to pay that fine to then unlock your account, and then you can sell yourself. Maybe that's the kind of way to get around that particular point, if that makes any sense. I was just rambling.
It does, but I mean, Upland will have the ability to look at an account and go, right, account XYZ has put in, say, $1,000, and it's currently worth $10,000. So if you give them, say, a $3,000 fine or 3 million UPEX fine, they're more than probably covering whatever they've gained from the various activities. But anyway, we can argue this all day. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
All right. So the other thing, asset delivery across cities. This is a good one.
Yeah. So this is what I was alluding to with your wanting to create a showroom in every single city. It's kind of almost done the reverse now. It kind of makes sense for a player. And I was thinking about this the other day because I haven't followed your steps to every city, but I have tried to spread out with my structural ornament showrooms as much as I can. And definitely every continent. Like, I've got one now in France and one in London and a bunch across America, and even in Rio, so South America. But it kind of works the reverse now. The onus will be on the players, because if they want to just suddenly be able to jump on and buy a certain thing because something's been advertised or it's a burn event or something like that, they're going to want to have at least one property in every single city just to cover their own bases so they can buy whatever they want at any time they want. So you'd almost get to the point where you probably only need one showroom, and depending on how much stuff you want to put in that showroom, in one city almost. Like, it's if you pick a city like LA or Queens or something like that, which is huge and pretty much everyone can own one, you're almost going to cover 90% of players just with that one city.
Well, the system has never made any sense. It's never made sense. Imagine I bought a comic book online in Japan and I had to fly to Japan to get it. Or this system as it stands now, if I want to get that comic book delivered to me, I have to own a house in Japan to get it delivered to. That's freaking mental.
It is.
There should be some way to get it delivered to tie it to the bloody home residence. Of course, you're going to have to pay extra fees or whatnot.
There should be delivery
maybe that
fees.
will come in future with transportation mechanics. But this whole thing where you have to fly to the city to pick up the item you've bought, that's never made any sense from day one.
No, and from someone that's been burnt on more than one occasion, when you see something you want to buy, and it's only a 20-minute flight from where you are, and someone else will, when you're on the plane, someone else will buy it, and you're just like, so at least it's, I'll give them credit, it's a step in the right direction. It still doesn't make sense in IRL, but it's not IRL, so no.
Yeah, it's a wacky idea.
It's kind of
sorry, you got to concluding.
No, well, I'm saying it sort of incentivizes people to have at least one property in every city. So, so that's probably more good for the property market than not, even though there'd be less showrooms, I think, in the long run.
Well, you know what this does? When you've said that made me think one of the benefits of having a showroom in every city is obviously I can't put that showroom up for sale. So when I do, say I want to travel somewhere, I can't travel in my car. I can't send it to, I might have 50 properties in San Francisco, but I can't send it to any of them because they're all up for sale. But if I've got a showroom there that's not up for sale, I can send it there. So that's kind of one of the ways that it's a stupid little bit of utility for having one kind of property in every city. But that's an extra little thing that I play around with. This next
Silver
one
linings are
scares me
important,
as
Ben.
somebody who can't. They are, yes. As someone who can't even play the game on iOS because of the game can't load, home addresses displayed on the map. Oh, great. More stuff on the map that can't even load already. Users' home addresses will be visible directly on the map. What? Is this going to be freaking red dots everywhere?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it just another coloured dot? I saw this one.
Tags everywhere.
Like, yeah, like
if I want to see somebody's home address, I'll click on their profile and see it.
Yeah.
I think this is a cool idea personally. I think this is neat. I like the idea that I go into, I'll just say Granada Hills, and I can see, oh, this is, James UK's property, or this is, maybe, especially if you're, stupid fun, trying to get collection status or something, and you don't then have to necessarily verify, hey, send me a screenshot. You can just go look around like, oh, there's their property, there's their property. I think that's cool. I don't know. I think it's a neat little feature. It probably doesn't add anything to the game necessarily, but I think it's a neat little thing.
I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad thing. It just, to me, it's like, yeah, cool, but it's not.
It's going to work great on my Android phone. I can guarantee that.
Fuck, yes.
Now you know what I deal with on the neutral side.
Moving on. Social features, aggregated feed, similar to traditional social media. We're working to have the main feed display. Okay, tagging, user profile. Okay, yeah. The base system that we've got in Upland is okay. It's far from ideal. It very much feels like a step back in time, like old bloody 1995 forum boards or something like that. It's very old school, very retro, very shit. So yes, there's many features, improvements that need to be made to that entire system.
Yeah.
Nodding in agreement. Yep. All right. Moving on. Miscellaneous, reviving the Spud Wars. Oh,
you
boy.
Skipped one there. You skipped something there. That's quite.
Oh, what did I do? Tagging. User profiles.
No, user profiles. Yeah. Will display
profiles will display each user's Sparklet stakes, adding another layer of transparency. But you can. Oh, so you click on a property and you can see what they're staked on.
I don't
really.
No. I think it means you can look at their profile and see how much Sparklet they've got and where it's staked. That's how I read it. Again, I don't know, but I read it that I might, because under the old Spark system, you could easily look at who had Spark and how much they had and stuff like that. Now with Sparklet, it's somewhat complicated. My understanding is that most people's Sparklet balances, when you look at some of the leaderboards of it, is correct, except for probably a dozen or so people that got caught up in that Sparklet debacle when they first gave it out. So their balances, I think Dizzy is probably number one, whose balance shows as 10 million, but it's not. It's more like 500,000. So that transparency, I mean, you're looking at Dizzy and seeing. I
can't imagine ever using it. Why do I want to know what Swally's sparking on?
That's kind of what
because Sparklet.
I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Well, because Sparklet is now a tradable asset, and if someone such as Abdullah has got 5 million of them and suddenly withdraws it from the platform, it's going to affect the price.
Yeah. So. Or maybe if you're looking for, hey, can you help me build something? I can see in your account that you've got 16,000 Sparklet unstaked. Maybe. I hope I'm not going to get bombarded with DMs. Mine's all used, always flat out being used. So don't send me a DM.
I've got 17 pages of unfinished builds.
Are they going to show us how much Protum we have available too?
Probably, yeah. I'd imagine that's coming if it's part of
that's on the blockchain. You can already see that on the blockchain. So if you really wanted to, you could go look at that anyway.
Well,
I
that's
think
just
there's
like
far
saying,
more important things that they could put time and money into.
yeah,
Yeah,
Swirly,
agreed.
that's just like saying, oh, you can go look at the leaderboards on Medium or whatever. It should just it should be in the game, maybe, but I don't know. Sparklet,
Yep.
cool. I don't care though, personally.
Yes, Spud Wars. We're
Okay.
working on reviving the popular gamification that powered the mythical Spud Wars. Yeah, everybody looks at that with rose-coloured glasses. Oh, back in the day, it was so much fun. They seem to forget that there was a lot of spiteful shit went on with that. Yeah, it got nasty. It got really nasty.
That sounds exactly like
Yeah,
something I
think.
want.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you're talking with two other guys that weren't around when this happened, so you're on your own here.
Yeah.
And the people that won the Spud Wars, they got 3D bloody trophies. I think they got them delivered and then they disappeared because they fell through the floor. Yeah, I don't know. I was involved and I took advantage of Spud Wars because I was buying property in all of the nodes and selling them to the people that were deliberately, they would buy a property from me that had a building on it just to demolish it and put up something that harmed the other team. I don't know. I just played the middle ground and made money off everyone. But
Was it fun?
It got ugly. Well, it was fun for me because I made plenty of bank, but there was, like I said, it got spiteful. I never liked the idea of. It goes back to neighborhood ratings, how they've done that whole thing where it's node versus node in this kind of battle sort of system. Well, why can't it be positive? I mean, I don't play those kind of games myself anyway, so maybe people are all about that. I'm going to crush you and wreck all your shit. You put all this hard work in. Haha, fuck you. That's I don't really get into that. I don't get into that vibe myself at all. So I don't know.
You have node versus node, and that's a lot of fun. I mean, just to look at Elslack and the ninjas there, and it's a lot of fun. Tongue in cheek, just So that
but
side
they're
of
not
things.
demolishing each other's nodes and
So
shit can't like actually destroying on their joints.
So my head doesn't get around how you can go and affect someone else's build. Like these guys are building stuff, and and they might own the property next door, and they'll put trebuchets on there, but they're not actually destroying anything. They're just having a bit of fun and games. And if that's what it is, like I don't know. I wasn't around when Spud Wars was. I like any sort of competition, especially I like the sound of it. And like Elsack said, bring it on. I want to check it out. So I like the sound of this because I missed out on it initially.
Ninjas are doing. What they're doing is a fake form of what the Spud Wars were. So, say, Swiley, you've back in the day when Spark Rental the prices were insane. So you've got your little area and you want to take part. So you've rented all this Spark and you've put up these 4 or 5 buildings, maybe a dozen buildings, right? Well, there's one property that's for sale that's near those. I buy that property and I put up a cell phone tower, and that negates all of the stats that all of your buildings that in the discovery range of the cell phone tower that I put up, that negates all of that effort that you've put in. So by me buying that one property and deliberately messing with you, I've essentially screwed up all the time, effort, resources you've put into developing your area. So yeah, it was like what Elslack and the Hyde Park Ninjas are doing, but with, in air quotes, real world consequences. You can imagine the vibe that created.
But does it actually diminish like the value or your property beyond Spud Wars, or is it just for that one event?
No, it was just for you can imagine, like, if you have a building that generates so many points towards a leaderboard for such and such, but if I put a cell phone tower there, everything you have in the discovery range of that cell phone tower is now screwed.
Was there anything you could do to counter that?
No.
Whatever.
Well, what you would do is you'd retaliate. You'd buy stuff in their node and do the exact same thing, or you'd work back in DMs with people and say, "Hey, I know you've got these buildings up, but hey, I'll do X, Y, and Z if you can pull that down and put a cell phone tower up." And it's just a shitty vibe in my opinion. But people love that sort of stuff too, so I don't know.
I'm hearing a game of chess where it's very strategic, colluding. Like, to me, all you've done is sell it more to me than you have.
Yeah, kind of me too.
Yeah, well,
kind of me too.
Yeah, some people love it. Yeah, some people love it. But as I said, it's I didn't like that. I hate that kind of DMing fucking
But there needs to be
shit to
everything needs to
basically.
have a counter. So if you could put a cell phone up that countered what they were doing, there needs to be a counter to the cell phone and so on. And it needs to
But
almost
where
be
does
in a
that stop?
turn, but it needs to be
Yeah.
in a loop almost. So where it just ends up
Like
back
a
at the
rock, paper,
start.
scissors sort of
Yeah.
situation.
And it starts back at
Yeah.
the start. So, and then it just comes down to sheer numbers or something. So, a cell phone might get overpowered by too many other type of structures. I don't know. But again, I'll be interested to see where it goes. It's actually one of the things I actually went, this could be fun. But only because I've heard people talk about it and I know nothing about it. So, yeah.
Any way I
But-
can
but
destroy
then
the
you get-
ninjas is a win for me.
Well, take it from my perspective. Say Elslack sends me a DM and he says, Ben, I can see you've got 2 million UPX in your account. Hey, can you do this deal and buy up these properties for me? It essentially becomes it's not pay to win, it's pay to destroy. And that's what happened. I was selling properties for just stupid money because certain bigger players were just gobbling up to just specifically and purposefully wreck what other smaller communities had been doing. So yeah.
Upland's a game built on pay to win, so to me, it's like
It is what it is.
you don't like it.
Yeah.
You don't like it, then don't play it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So,
And it kind of
Yes.
promotes more of the same of what Upland is. Buying and selling and trading, and and if it's just for an event, ultimately it doesn't necessarily hurt the end user. It just kind of fucks with you in that event.
It definitely supported the economy, that's for sure. It definitely put a boost to the economy. Yeah. Didn't necessarily do a lot for community vibes.
so that
newbie.
Spud Wars. Sorry,
go
just
ahead.
before we move on, Spud Wars was when only San Francisco was in the game. Yeah.
Oh, it's probably Fresno was probably there or Manhattan or something, but yeah, it was restricted to San Francisco.
It was just San Francisco. So would it be something similar where they'll just pick a city and go, right, Spud Wars in a certain city? So that's probably a good way
It'd be cool if they did city versus city or something like that. That could be fun. Yeah,
to me, it seemed more
like
like a race to sort of build certain things, almost kind of like they're doing in New Orleans, but with the NFLPA type thing, where people align themselves with a team and it's a sort of a race to build the most or stake the most. To me, that's what I initially took out of it. So, but if it's more strategic than that, bring it on. That sounds like fun.
Well, that reminds me of a point now. Who's going to decide what if they are going to go back to the neighbourhood approach? Is this going to be a community vote thing, or is Upland going to say, okay, well now it's bloody Merced Manor versus who knows Granada Hills or one of the Hyde Park ninjas? The Hyde Park is versus they're just going to nominate you, and suddenly you're going to have people trying to demolish your stuff. Who knows how that's going to?
Couldn't we have a neighbourhood tournaments? Like have like 16 or 32 neighbourhoods enter a tournament in a face-off to knock out each one to get to the final, and I don't know how you'd run it, and have and the nodes don't have to be like the top tier nodes. I mean, it could be Hyde Park versus Granada Hills.
Maybe they're region based or something.
Well, at least level based, like because obviously Hyde Park and Granada Hills are very evenly, I don't know what leveled or whatnot. So obviously,
I mean, Granada Hills is just a little bit better than Hyde Park.
But obviously,
slightly.
Like Hyde Park and Granada Hills combined probably still would get slaughtered by, say, like a Belrose, but
for sure.
But so some sort of ranked sort of but I like the idea of it. But I think you bring that back up again.
I see it. SC, you just keep it. You just type slow, please.
This ain't the platform for that particular war.
You're right.
Yeah, so hopefully it's I hope it's an opt-in situation where not like the neighborhood ratings where regardless if you want to be involved or not, now if you're just in that downgradable opportunity, you're in there whether you like it or not, your neighborhood's in the mix. So we'll see how that plans out. Newbie treasure hunt mode. This feature will allow new players to experience treasure hunting without paying send fees in the first days to get the hang of it. That's very good. This is a great way for new players to understand neighborhoods, the map, properties, and sends. Yeah, that sounds very good to me.
I don't like the word
like
days. Day. I don't make it 100 searches or something. I make it a set because you're saying they're going to sign up day one and then they don't come back for a week and it's too late. Like
make it the first 10 hunts or something like that. Yeah.
10's probably not enough. Give them 100. Like, I mean, what are they? 100 searches, and they might get 5 spark chests in that. That might be enough to.
Yeah.
If they get, I mean, technically they should get 5 spark chests with 100 searches, so that might be enough to hook them. But yeah, if they sign up today and then they get back to it till next weekend, and the days are over.
I think what they'll do is make it they should make it a system where, say, you have 10 free treasure hunts. So if you use the first one on day one, well, you've used 1 of 10. If you come back in a week, well, you're going to use 2 of 10, something like that.
You're saying the same thing.
That
I just think it should be much more than 10. I think it should be.
Yep.
10's not enough to get them hooked, I don't think. Because you're going to do 10 hunts, get 10 minimum treasures, and go, well, that was pointless. When if you do 100, you're going to get some of the larger bonus ones and probably 5 spark chests. So this is my saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Similar NFT discovery tool. A new button on the NFT screen will show other mints of the same NFT, making it easier to find similar assets. Okay. That's one of those things that probably should have already been in. Yeah. Leaderboards. This feature will allow additional leaderboards capabilities. Expect leaderboards that are currently displayed outside of Upland to be brought into the app experience. Hallelujah. Again, that's one of those ones that should have already been there. Looking ahead, Upland is committed to improving both the user experience and in-game economy while maintaining our community-driven focus. We're thrilled about the progress ahead and are working hard to bring these updates to life. Yeah, it needs to say Upland is committed to improving both I guess that covers my biggest gripe is the user experience, because currently iOS, the user experience is woeful as an understatement. So yeah, a lot of quality of life things in here. Overall, it's headed in the right direction, as you would expect a roadmap should be. But yeah, nothing in there that I was like, wow, this is freaking awesome. A lot of, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me go and catch up on my notes. If you haven't already seen, if you joined us just recently, the live participants hashtag for the giveaways at the end of the show is UGC FTW. UGC FTW.
Can you enter yourself, Ben? There's just one person in sciences
UGC
doesn't have so your scientist representation, he doesn't have an account apparently. And he did it in the private chat. A regular thing.
Yeah, a regular thing. Is this going to be your new spot?
There is no regular.
No. Well, I was going to say this right at the end, but as soon as you mention that, I'll say it now. I might double up on it again at the end. So what have I've got in my notes here. If you didn't catch what I outlined at the end of the 3rd interview series I did with the Hyde Park Ninjas, I'm not committing to any sort of broadcaster role in 2025. That's not to say that I'm giving up the microphone entirely, although that is a possibility. It's just that I have no set plans of yet. If I do decide to continue, it'll probably be some kind of sporadic short content related to any significant events. You can imagine something like the roadmap update. Well, I might just jump on for a bit of a gab off about that. But it may also be some form of, again, sporadic and very loose live interview thing. As I've said previously, the previously recorded interviews, that's one of the things I enjoy the most. So, yeah, if I am going to continue, it'll be some kind of amalgamation of the bits and pieces that I've enjoyed the most from doing the WEB3 podcast, the UDU podcast, Metaverse and Beyond podcast. It'll be all smushed together in some kind of obnoxious way, but we'll see how it plays out. So yeah, no, this is just put together because we didn't have any plans on Saturday, and I thought, bugger it, instead of getting up at 5 a.m, well, I'll just get up and have some breakfast. And now I'm kind of regretting it because I'm stuck in this little room sweating my ass off. It's bloody hot as hell here. So there we go.
Well, it's a perfect time to have it. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, no plans, basically. The only thing I'm committed to is next month's big, massive giveaway show. Don't know when the date that'll be or anything like that, but that one's probably likely to be something similar to that. So there we go. All right, that brings us on to the main topic for the show, the rise, proliferation and fall of user-generated content in Upland, outlining and discussing some very biased opinions on the past, present and potentially future outlooks for the ecosystem and insights into what it's like to be a UGC creator in Upland. I recently put out an open survey question to the Upland community, which was, what are some of the ways in which you believe Upland can and must improve to support their vision of being a Web3 ecosystem for digital entrepreneurs to stake their claim in the metaverse, create value, and engage with the global community of players? Now, the following is a mix of a scripted summary of the responses to those questions, insights from the wider Web3 ecosystem, and of course, my own personal and very biased opinions. You've got 3 UGC content creators in the mix here, myself being one of the very first people to ever get involved with it, and Elslack's done a bunch of stuff with map assets, and recently, are you doing structure ornaments as well?
Not yet.
He
Not
doesn't
yet.
do
And
anything.
Swali's,
He just sits in.
Swali's all over the structure ornaments. He
Swarley's
just sits
my.
in. What, you're going to put the boot in?
He just takes all the benefits without any of the stress.
That's not true. I have to move all these damn things all over the place. That is stressful.
You've got what,
Yes.
2 factories, 2 small factories at 4 spark each. Like, I'm pumping out 1 a day almost.
Hey,
We're
I
all
can get
so
2
stressful.
a day. I can get 2 a day. But it's not about me.
Absolutely. All right. So, like I said, some of this is scripted based on, and thank you very much to everybody who did reply. There was a lot of good stuff there, and that helped to put this together. Of course, I'll pause several times as we go through it to not just get my biased opinions on things, but also our other 2 UGC content creators in the mix. And if you are in the chat as well, make sure you have your say as well. And
just about to say,
put that up.
almost everybody in chat has some sort of, almost everyone anyway.
Yeah.
Look, plenty of them have some sort of UGC involvement. A lot of them have shops, whether they've made stuff themselves or whether they've got someone else to make it for them. So yeah, I think we all have some sort of experience. But I missed your survey. I don't know whether I just didn't see it or I would have filled it out for you. But anyway, I guess I'll do
I
it
thought
live.
maybe you must have replied to something in there because I think you're in the mix for the giveaways. So maybe you did it and you forgot.
Oh no, I
No,
saw
you
a
did do it.
question
Yeah.
about what
Yeah, you did do it.
what are you most excited about or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, you did it. So, all right, let's deep dive into the pulse of the Upland metaverse. Today, we're exploring the rise, proliferation, and fall of user-generated content in Upland. I recently reached out to the community to uncover what makes UGC shine, what challenges it faces, and where it might be heading. By drawing from your insights and examining trends in the broader Web3 space, we're crafting a comprehensive view of the past, present, and the potential future of UGC in our digital world. I say our digital world, not with a grain of salt or anything like that. Even Upland itself says that the Upland community is the best thing about it and whatnot. So yes, this is our digital world. We're the ones creating it by and large. So let's jump into what you had to say and see how Upland stacks up against the wider Web3 landscape. The first question that was asked was, what is your favorite piece of UGC and why? In the broader Web3 landscape, platforms like the Sandbox and Decentraland have shown that UGC is not just about creative expression, but a way to engage communities and build economic value. UGC serves as a foundation for user empowerment and platform growth, making it a vital part of these ecosystems. When I asked about your favourite UGC creations, the responses showcased the diversity and creativity that UGC has brought to Upland already, from retro sun sculptures and patriotic ornaments to the meticulously crafted carts, and even some of the simple modern mailboxes, etc. Many of you appreciated that UGC adds life, uniqueness, and value to your virtual properties. This indicates that, just like in other Web3 spaces, UGC in Upland holds value not only for its visual appeal, but also for its ability to make the metaverse more personal and immersive. I guess I'll go to you straight away, Elslack, for that one. We're laughing about it, but what you've got going on with the Hyde Park Ninjas, I think that's a classic example of that sort of outlook on what's your favorite kind of bits and pieces and how you can use that to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, I was just eating a chicken nugget and it was not going down right.
Oh, don't die on air.
Oh, look, trust me, the chicken nugget's not going to kill me. If the driving does, and definitely a chicken nugget's not going to.
Yeah, on your phone, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my little battle with the Hyde Park Ninjas, that is one of my favorite things we've done. Just being able to create something out of nothing, with some good people, and bringing other people into the mix and making your own fun within the game is I think one of the biggest advantages to this metaverse. There's really no limit, no boundary to what you can and can't do outside of I can't destroy their stuff, really. But just bringing engagement to the game in unconventional ways has always kind of been something I do in real life, and also inside the metaverse.
Quali man, any particular favorites or anything like that you like? Or the general overview of what the value it adds to things?
No particular favorite. I love the fact that you can just go, oh, this is what we need here, and go create it. And that's exactly what we've been doing. So ninjas, watch out. Upland can be a little bit frustrating in terms of approving stuff and the times and stuff like that there. But ultimately, just there's no one particular thing I love. There's so many creative people out there, and there's so much awesome stuff. And there are some not so awesome stuff, but the market will sort itself out. I've always said that. People that sell the right stuff at the right prices, will make some decent coin from it, and others won't. But that's just real world being replicated, isn't it? So.
Yes, for a bit of a historical perspective, when Upland first mentioned anything related to UGC, when they put the call out for submissions for essentially back in the day was you were going to be awarded a business license before they changed to this whole MetaVenture concept. There was two options. You could apply for the Block Explorer path or the Outdoor Decor Map Asset path. A lot of the people and there was only going to be 10 slots of each available as part of the beta process. A lot of the people who signed up for the Block Explorer path, I know at least 3 of the 10 fully expected that they were going to be able to create their own Block Explorers and Block Explorer series to be able to sell in their shops and whatnot. They had to wait what was essentially years before that system came to fruition and the Block Explorer shops opened, only to find out, no, you've got no creative freedom at all. You're essentially just a reseller. We talked about this previously. Why isn't that in the hands of UGC content creators? I, for the life of me, can't understand why it isn't. So even back in the very early days, the communication and the changes in direction got a lot of people's noses out of joint, and that's you're talking way back. As far as the Outdoor Decor Map Assets, my business proposal, you've probably heard me say this before, Samurai Aquatics, it was supposed to be in-ground pools and outdoor garden ponds, and I had this detailed plan with all these different rarities. Like if you wanted to have a rare one, maybe it had koi in your pond, or it would have gold koi, and it had lily pads, and the lily pads had their flowers open and everything. That was accepted. I got put in the beta program, and then a year and a half or something later, we turned out, no, you can't do any of that. You can't have any living thing representative. Not only that, you can't do in-ground pools, and you can't show any water. So we're like, well, what the bloody hell? So Swally, you've talked about your frustrations even now with the UGC process. That's been
that path that they're on with UGC and what you can and can't have seems to be continuing, where it kind of was like the door was open to anything from day one, and as time goes on, they slowly shut the door on more and more and more stuff and be more and more restrictive. Instead of going from day one, we'll make it super restrictive, see how it goes, and then slowly open the door up to other things, is what they should have done. I mean, they've made it quite clear that you're not allowed to have signs, so you can't, like billboards and advertising signs, which I don't agree with, but it is what the rule is. I mean, there's some people that do have it in the game. They got in before they changed.
There's a lot of inconsistency.
But they've made a hard rule that from a certain point that they've stopped that from now on. Okay, sweet. So people got in beforehand, good on them. They can't have it anymore. But so, I mean, and I'll bring out the biggest thing that's my personal issue at the moment with this covering the roof on structural ornaments. I've had a number of submissions rejected over the last few months because it covers the roof. When I look across and see other creators get approved, and that's the bit that sort of is just really getting to my mental health and my personal, like the amount of hours and time. I've got one that I've spent almost 12 months. It was initially created by, and as I always keep saying, I won't mention his name exactly, but an award-winning UGC creator from way back in the day, and it cost me $100 for him to make it for me, and it got rejected. And then I've since learned UGC myself and Blender and stuff, so I edit it and change it all myself now, and it's been rejected 7 times. And each time for a different reason than the previous one, with upwards of 6-7 week turnaround for each submission. I know they've made steps to improve that with the trial or beta or whatever they're doing with carts. Hopefully that's a massive improvement in that situation. But the inconsistency of this, you can't cover the roof, you can cover the roof, and what they expect from covering the roof, they showed an example.
Was there any explanation?
No, I mean, it was always in the rules. That was always in the rules that you had to, like, if you go and read the rules, you weren't allowed to cover the doors, windows, and a set of chimneys and stuff like that as well. So, and you'll know that there's obviously structural ornaments from ages ago that will have, I think there was one, there's a picnic or something on the roof. I think it was Amsterdam meetup or something with a tablecloth that comes down. There's so many of them. And they've gone, all right, you can't cover windows and doors. All right, that's fine. Let's not do that.
Unless we do it.
Well, not necessarily, because other creators are doing it. I think I don't know. I don't want to say it's they're favoring one creator over another. I don't know what's causing the issue. Whether it's just a different person at different parts of the world verifying or approving or rejecting this. I don't know. But the lack of communication, and I lose my shit because I cannot get anybody from UGC. I've sent and I haven't been abusive or offensive or anything like that. I've sent Jason and the other, I can't think of a name in UGC. I can't get a reply. I cannot get an answer to any of my questions. It just does my head in. And let me see if I can find in UGC the example that the team themselves. Can I will be able to share that. So it's just continue on.
Pulling it up. It's an example of you can't cover the windows now. You can't cover the roof. There's no real explanation given. Well, that goes back to when I was told, well, sorry, but your business was approved, but now you can't do pools and you can't do anything living, and you're not really given an explanation. It wasn't until years later that, okay, because they're doing totems or they're doing this whole life simulation thing. But clearly they must have known that way back in the day.
So as I was trying to say,
why would have been nice.
The point I was trying to make, and I sort of lost my track a little bit, was the rule was always has been there that you weren't allowed to cover the roof, along with the fact that you weren't allowed to create helipads, you weren't allowed to have skeletons. There's all these other rules that were never enforced. And covering the roof was one of those rules that was never enforced, and they slowly sort of closed the door on that to the point where, okay, no longer could you cover the windows. We'll crack down on that and say you can't do that anymore, even though it was done in the past, and the doors. And now it's like, well, we're closing the door even more because now you can't cover the roof. And what annoys me, and personally, I absolutely love and hate this at the same time. Let me just share a screen for a sec. I can't remember the top of my head.
Getting around it.
I can't remember the top, but this was another creator,
I believe, isn't it?
Charles, one of them.
I think that's Charles.
Like, he's created this, and it's fantastic ornament. Absolutely love it. But to me, okay, first, I mean, there used to be something, and I don't know if they've changed the rules or whatever. There used to be something there that had to say it was realistic. Well, that's a rule that's never existed either, really, to be fair. But I mean, we've got this extension of the house and this whole structure. I love it. I don't own one of these. I have to go and get one. But this whole Japanese sort of theme or Asian sort of themed house, like, I love it, and I think it looks amazing. Except for this part in the middle where they're going, oh, you must show the chimneys and the satellite dish. Why? Like, to me, it just ruins the best. Like, it ruins the part of the build. But this is what apparently and this was posted by Alcini, that's who I think it is too, not Charles. So this was reposted by one of the UGC Upland community people, whatever, saying this is an example of how you get around cracking down of this rule. And I'm like, well, to me, this is a step backwards. If this is what you want
It's just silly.
people.
Yeah.
You want people to Oh no, that's not what. So
Yeah, it just seems silly.
I've lost mine. I mean, I don't know whether it'll get accepted or rejected again. Where are we? That's not what I wanted. This one. So I've had to go and edit for the 7th time this build, which I've been trying to. I mean, it's too late for this season now. It's meant to be for this season, but I've had to go and edit. So you can how dumb does that look? I hate this with a passion. I mean, I want this building in because I've spent so much time, effort, and I don't know how many hours I've been trying to get this building into the game. But how stupid does that look? And it'll probably get approved this. I don't know. And to be honest, I've been Shawshank.
What's the point
I've even said
covering it
in UGC. I've been Shawshank now because I just don't give a shit anymore. If they reject it, I'm just like, I'm almost emotionless in the sense of this particular building because it's been rejected and it's 12 months this has been in the making just to have this into the game, and now I'm going to miss this season. And to me, how does this make Upland better? Like making people do that to builds as opposed to, and I probably deleted what it did look like.
Yeah, it just looks silly. I mean, if that's the reason, well, without being given a reason why, like maybe like what happened with me and the original business idea. Well, there was a clear reason why, because they want to introduce Totem and Life. Maybe there's a clear reason why they're doing that here, but to not be willing to say what that is, to give you some context to it, just seems to create just an unnecessary level of butthurt that doesn't really need to be there. Yeah, surely there's a reason, but who knows what that reason may be. Oh, yeah, you can see there what it used to look like. Yeah.
So that's what it did look like before the last rejection because I covered the roof. Now, maybe 12 months ago, they would have let it through. I don't know. I'm not saying all the rejections to the 7 rejections are all unfair, which there are some legitimate rejections, and that's fine. At the time, wait 7 weeks and then have it rejected for something minor and fixed up and and then wait another 6 weeks for it to be reassessed. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. Hopefully they do fix that system, which they look like they're working on. But I mean, if you had to vote on which building you want to see, like if you were going to buy one, which one would you rather buy if you're going to buy one from me?
Oh, well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Exactly, isn't it? Well, one looks dumb and just stupid, and one looks pretty good. Well, at least in my opinion, it looks pretty good.
I think they both look pretty good. I'm not just shining you on there. I think they both look really good, and
but that's why I showed the example of the other one first, because I didn't create that one. I like it, and I think that building would look 10 times better if it didn't have that stupid gap in the middle. It doesn't need that gap. It looks so much better if it was just that whole theme. Like, really, we have to show the friggin' satellite and the chin and a square box, because that's effectively all that's on the roof is a square box.
Like I always say, asking too many why questions in Upland is bad for your mental health.
Oh no, we better not cover up these square boxes because that would take away from the feel of the building. Like, come on, Upland. Like, are we going forward or backwards?
There must be a reason. There has to be a reason. Why they won't share what their reason is, who knows? Yes, who knows? Anyway, mind blowing. Yes.
That's my rant over.
All right, we shall continue on. The second question that I asked was, what is your opinion on the current state of the UGC markets? Now, the challenge of oversaturation in UGC markets is common across Web3 platforms, where the low barrier to entry can lead to a flood of content that can overwhelm users. Other platforms like the Sandbox have responded by introducing curation mechanisms and community voting systems to highlight high-quality work and maintain a sense of order. In Upland, many of you noted a similar struggle, a market that feels cluttered with rushed or low-quality items, making it difficult for standout pieces to gain visibility. There's a shared desire for better organisation, transparency, and potentially a catalogue to help navigate the growing pool of UGC. Yet amidst these challenges, some of you remain optimistic, noting that there's potential for the market if it aligns more with gameplay and utility, echoing trends seen in successful Web3 projects. If you go back in the day when just before the first release of UGC map assets, as I said, there was 10 10 UGC map asset creators were part of the original beta. Of those, at the launch date, it was really only Samurai Aquatics that was ready to go. We had a range of items. There was a lot of restrictions. We couldn't build much because the spark air was just insane, but we did what we could. But the thing that took up the most time that we agonized over was, the pricing of these sorts of things. And as part of that, we knew that eventually UGC was going to be opened up to the masses, and it was going to be inundated with, stuff that was going to be way higher quality, stuff that was just going to be trashy. What we could never have predicted back then was the rise of AI and how that's influenced things. Now, you've got certain map assets at the moment where it appear to be just a button with a freaking AI image just put on top of it, and there's 100 different versions of those. Not trying to shit on anybody's work or anything like that, but you can't compare that to some of the stuff that Swaley's just shown. And I know, Swaley, you use AI to do some of the murals and stuff on yours. But now you've got things where you can scan an item on your phone and you can turn that into a map asset. You can use AI purely to generate map assets, which has led to, inundation of UGC. We always knew that was going to happen. Thoughts, opinions on that? It's probably, I'll just say before you kick off, sorry, it's probably complicated by the fact that the searchability of these things, as was mentioned in that, is just so bad. It's really hard to find out what's where and who's what, when, and where.
Well, that's it. And you search the particular thing you're after. So let's say you want a picnic table. You search for a picnic table, you'll find one, but then you find where the location is. That'll get fixed later. But in terms of AI, I've only AI generating map assets. That's a relatively new thing, which seems to be starting to really come into the fore. I've dabbled in it. I've dabbled in it a little bit. I haven't got deeply into it yet. AI is not quite there yet. Like, it's getting close, but it's not quite there to create. But it's the future. Like, Upland can't ignore the future. I mean, soon AI will get that good that everything will be created AI, and it's just a matter of you directing AI to do what you need to do, which is the real world. I mean, mines used to employ thousands of people to do what now one or two people do with machines. So it's no different, really.
Yes.
But just a digital version of that. So I think Upland needs to embrace it. Maybe step up the quality review of stuff. And if something some stuff that comes out is just really. But again, I've said it before. I think there should be more burning options, and that's how we can get rid of some of the stuff in the game that isn't selling or was a bad idea or something. I don't know.
It's tough. And what we've seen is that influx, which we knew was coming as well, is that it was going to drag the markets down. That was always going to happen. One of the battles I had with the team that I was involved in when we're setting prices is initially I wanted to set the prices low because I felt you could always increase the prices, but it feels dirty to decrease the prices on people. But we agonized over that. There's hours of footage of us, discussing all that live and our justifications for our prices and whatnot. We're at the point now where clearly the prices that we have set are miles too high because the whole market's been dragged down. And we have a MetaVenture series. We got, I believe that, I haven't heard to the contrary or somebody similar, that I have the most extensive showroom bloody setup in the entire game. Clearly, I haven't fully opened them all out and whatnot there, but the structure's there anyway, the foundations. What's the purpose of doing all that if I'm getting zero sales? We're at the point now where if we want sales, we have to reduce prices. I feel that's really shitty to do to people, but what do? Do you just give up and you never sell any of those items ever again? It's a really weird place to be in.
I came to that realization when I very first started with my first structural ornaments, and I tried to price them in relation to what the market was and what I thought was a fair price. I remember asked a few people with different opinions on certain prices too. I came up with a price, and then I thought about it long term and thought, well, hang on, I've got like 2,000 or whatever of these things. And to me, the price seemed too high, especially for a new creator that's doesn't have the same quality as some of the other people. And I straight away went, okay, if I'm going to reduce prices in the future, I need to do it now rather than later. And I did it straight away, and actually went back to all the people that already bought some stuff. There was one massive buyer especially, and ended up just doubling what they had bought because I halved the prices. To what I thought was going to be a more long-term friendly price, and something that's still, I mean, still makes a decent profit, and it's definitely worth doing. UGC is 100% worth getting involved in.
Why do we feel guilty about that? Because it's the real world situation is if you go and buy a TV and they don't sell enough TVs, they reduce the price. You don't suddenly go and get another freebie. It's, well, what is it about this that, because there's a significant amount of teeth sucking that goes on when you consider that. Yeah.
It's community though. I mean, it's season after season of having the same people buy different ornaments, especially for the related season. And I don't want to do them dirty. Like, I want to look after, and this is one of my other gripes, is one of my favorite competitions to get involved in is a structural ornament competition, but I feel dirty about getting involved in that because I make my own structural ornaments. So, and then I'm competing against the people who buy them off me, and it seems kind of counterintuitive. And it's not that I don't deserve to be winning prizes, because I've been screwed over enough times in the past by Upland with certain things. Like and then right now in the Executive Plus bracket, I could easily be in first place. Easily.
Yeah.
Like Shacklin, I think, is in first with 113 or something. I could be probably about 50 above her. And I'm umming and ahhing whether I even get in the top 11, which is kind of the goal for most people that do get involved in that, because the prizes for the top 11 are pretty good. But I just feel dirty about getting involved in that, competing against people that are buying stuff off me. And I don't want someone spend 50,000 or 100,000 UPX buying structural ornaments off me to get involved in this, only then to lose to me who just made my own and just put them on. But at the same time, I still have 140 odd collections with, 400 properties that are constructed. It's not like I haven't put any effort into it. It's internal conflict that's just doing my head in. And I've spoken to other UGC creators. I think like Ace696 is another one who goes, he has the same opinion. Like, it's just not worth getting involved in, selling stuff to people and then competing against them. Like, I'd love to see a different category for UGC people or MetaVenture people.
Yeah, you outlined that previously.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I've got no traumas like going up against Shaq and attacking her one-on-one, because A, she's a UGC creator, and B, she's up there with a similar size account, all that sort of stuff. I'd love to take her on and see, best person win type scenario, but it's not Shaq I'm worried about. It's the 3 or 4 or 5 other people in that top 11 that have bought a bunch off me that I'll potentially knock out of the top 11 by playing. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just such a,
Well, I did write Shaq down in my notes to go on to, but before we do that, because that's slightly off topic a bit, what's your take on that, Elslack? I know you were just about to say something before.
I can't remember exactly what I was going to say at this point.
I was just
going to respond.
Dynamics.
I don't know. Similarly with Swarley, it is a conundrum on how to manage that. That feeling, whether or not you go for it or not. I haven't done enough at this point to have a real, I don't know, solid opinion on how I want to move forward with that. I think without Upland having like an ability to create some sort of utility with UGC content, it does kind of force you to diminish the value of your assets unless you find a way to make utility yourself. Which is, I listened to your video with TB125, and he used his basketball hoops to create utility, and I thought that was a really great idea, and I really liked that idea. So, when we came out with my teabagger guys, I'm not selling them, but I want there to be utility, even though it's free. I want people to tune in. That's just the way I want to do things. I think unless you are doing that yourself, you're creating your own utility. I mean, yeah, you can diminish the value, and Upland's not doing anything to make that better. You're gonna have to take it within your own hands to make it better. And I don't know. That, I mean, it's fine, but I would just wish there was a better process for that.
Yeah, and there are some very good examples within the community of people that are doing just that. TB125 is an example. Coach Funk in Evergreen Lasher with what he's got going on with some of the stuff he does. And yeah, the reason I wrote Shack down is not necessarily the utility aspect, but they've Shack and Tosshead, they've taken a different approach, kind of like what Umbrella Boy does as well. We're very limited supply, so they can afford to have their prices high to differentiate themselves in the market a little bit, where a lot of the original UGC content creators, myself and many of the other ones as well, where we went for a volume approach. And yeah, looking back on that now, it was, we were lucky to be in that early position, but there's no way around it. If we want to continue on as a MetaVenture series in the future, we have to adjust the prices. I've spoken with DTech loosely about that, but we're going to have to get together at some stage and work out what we're going to do, because at the moment there's just zero sales, and that's not sustainable, obviously. So
and it's not fun. I mean, like, you're not making those things just it's not just about being a business. It's fun, like when your phone goes off or whatever, get that notification like, oh, I sold something, somebody likes the thing that I made. But if nobody cares enough about it because it's priced too high or whatever, you're not being competitive. You're not even going to be seen. Nobody's going to get to enjoy that, and you're not going to enjoy the satisfaction of making it. What's the point?
Especially when you're moving the little bastards one at a time. Now, it is different if you are taking advantage of the AI tools and you're just spitting these things out willy-nilly. Well, you can afford to sell them for $1. And it's literally some of the map assets that I've seen advertised on Twitter, fairly good quality. Not, I wouldn't say they're anywhere near the exceptional detail that people like Toss Shack or DTech and that put into things, but advertising is selling for $1. I mean,
yeah.
You can never compete against that, because for some people, $1, that's a lot of money for them in their situation. So it's worth the time and effort to produce these and move them and everything. So
for sure,
it's a tricky situation.
But you said the keyword there numerous times. Community is the key word. The difference between you buying a TV and seeing it on sale next week and from JB or your electronics store is that you know who you're selling these stuff to. Most of the time, I know the customers, I know the people who I'm selling them. The stores don't know you if you go buy a TV. So that's the difference. And when someone spends upwards of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of UPX, or even hundreds of dollars buying your stuff, and then you halve the prices, you've got to understand that they're going to be go, hang on, I just spent all this money and now I could have bought twice as much for half as much. So if you're not planning ahead for the future, and at the moment we're at the bottom of the market, so I don't see, if you work out your prices now and never change them, I think you'll be fine. And that's the approach I went with it. So whatever I'm going to be happy with, then if you're selling 1,000 of these, why are you charging 20, 30, 40,000 UPX each? Because that's like 50 million, 100 million UPX if you sold them all. Like, that's just stupid. Like,
you say that we're at the bottom of the market, but we're at the first stages of AI usage for creating these things, and we have no major user acquisition. What's it going to be like when we've got, if we had mainstream adoption and instead of a few hundred UGC creators, what if we've got thousands upon thousands?
I mean, we will.
Again, the market.
Well, that's the goal, right?
We will, but the market will sort itself out, and what is worth buying, people will buy. And now you're not going to sell, a statue for 100,000 UPX anymore. But that was never going to be sustainable. Like most things are. I mean, it was overpriced to begin with because it was new and novelty and all sort of stuff. Same as any new technology is, but it'll settle out and be balanced. And maybe 5,000 UPX for a statue is all you're ever going to get moving forward. That might be what it is. I don't think that's a problem. And if that's not enough of a profit for you, well, then don't do it. AI will probably make it easy enough that you don't have to spend tens of hours or hundreds of hours creating stuff. I've just done a structural ornament for else like that. No way I could have made on my own, but AI did the bulk of the heavy lifting. Now,
well, and the plan with that is vastly different than the plan is if the things that you're going to make by hand. You know what I mean? Like you could buy things,
exactly.
big box, big store items, or you can have those handcrafted special things that I think you're just going to have to change the approach. And if you're going to make, 10,000 of them, or if you're going to make 50 of them, I'm going to make
Yep.
50 of these handcrafted items that are really valuable because I made them and I put my heart, soul, and effort into this thing, and I think people are going to value that. Or you're going to make 10,000 of these things that AI spit out because you want to make a quick buck. And I think both are fine, but if I'm looking at Swarley's handcrafted thing or Ben's AI thing, they're virtually the same. What route am I going to go? It just really depends on what you're after and how you market.
I think utility is the key, but currently we don't have the tools to be able to use that anywhere near its potential. Like, say, for example, my Samurai Surfer statue series. If I wanted to say, okay, if you own a Samurai Surfer, every month you get a free map asset. I'm going to send you a free map asset. Well, for me to find out who are the owners of all of those, I can't just automatically find out who they are. It's a massive, laborious process. And, it's we don't have, I don't think we have the tools yet to do what we would even like to do.
No, not yet.
No, and even if you were to create a spreadsheet, it'll change. So, it's
you're talking
too hard
hours and hours to sort it out.
Exactly. For me, there's two routes to go with this sort of thing. It's either you create something of quality and make it extremely limited. Tossad's absolutely nailed that with. I bought a dragon, one of these dragon structural ornaments. He only made 10 of them and sold them for 75,000 UPX each, and they all sold. And not only that, people have hit me up going, I want yours. I'm like, it cost me 75,000, so you want to come in with a pretty bloody good offer because I'm not parting with it. So, and that ended the conversation there and then. I don't think they were looking at spending 150,000+ to buy it off me. So if you can do the quality, then maybe down the track, that's where I might end up finding myself, is creating just limited. Once I feel confident that the quality I create is up there with some of the best in the game, then maybe I'll look at that. But at the moment, I don't think it is. I'm still learning my trade. I've still got a long way to go before I learn what I'm doing. So I am going the volume route, which is why some of my structural ornaments are some of the cheapest in the game, because I'm a new creator. I'm still learning what I'm doing, and some of the stuff that I first put in the game, I wish I could go back and fix, because there's some stuff that I've since learned, but you can't.
No.
So well, I mean, it is
that kind of sucks. Ben's in a crummy situation, and older players like Ben who, maybe didn't see exactly how this whole thing was going to pan out, and you created these handcrafted items at volume, and now you're kind of stuck in a world where your handcrafted stuff isn't as valuable because you made so many of them, and the juice almost isn't worth the squeeze with how you originally produced it.
But
yes, it's
to me, I think you're going to have those two choices, either volume or quality. One or the other, not both. That's what it comes down to.
Well, it'd be good. Like, Upland screwed up. Well, to be fair, I don't know if it was Upland or me in the submission process, but say we had a series of items that was a set, right? There was 10 different items in the set. The max mint numbers on some of them is 20,000, and the max mint numbers on some of them is 30,000. Well, there was an error put in there, and we said, well, can't we get that fixed? And there was like, sorry, no, it's in there. It's for say the ice bath or whatever that I'm making. If I've made 200 of those, and instead of like decimating the price, I want to say, okay, well, we did say we were going to make 20,000 of them. Well, now I want to reduce that supply now to 300 or 500. Currently, as that stands, there's no mechanic to do that. So being able to play with that as well would be helpful.
You can just not mint them. That's one way, but then
people have to trust
I hear what you're saying.
Your word, you can't.
Yeah. You can get it. I mean, they can't. Other people can't see it, but you can have Upland remove it from the shop, from your factory. So you force yourself not to be able to mint more. But whether that shows up on the mint numbers on it later down the track. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something
And
that
you've got-
Upland can look at in the future. But
Yeah, and you've got people that have bought like the splitter mint or the fire, that'd screw that whole thing up too. So it is tricky.
So when you look at something like a Tosshead's run of 10,
Yep.
you look at it and go, okay, well, the run of 10, you're only having 10 to move. You only have 10 to create, 10 to move. So obviously the work after the submission process is extremely limited. And then on top of that 10, you've got one that's the first mint, one that's the last mint, and a splitter mint in the middle. So you've only got 3 or 7 that are just random numbers, which are all low mints and single-digit mints. And if you can sell them, it's because your quality's there, and you can sell them at 75,000 UPX each, which is still, when you sell all 10, it's the best part of $1 million, and that could be done in a week. That's definitely a business plan that I'd like to get to one day. I don't think that I could personally justify that at this stage. Maybe one day, but I've got a long way to go, I think. So, but that's something I'll be striving to do. Because a lot of his stuff is like, I think the biggest one he does is like 100, a run of 100. Yeah, because I like to get mint 129 and stuff, and I can't get that from him. I have to settle for 29.
Absolutely. All right, and just to wrap up on this particular focus, the third and final question was, if you are a UGC creator, how has your journey been, the highs and the lows? And if you are not a UGC creator, why not? In the broader Web3 sphere, the challenge of learning complex tools is a significant barrier to entry. Projects like the Sandbox have tackled this by offering user-friendly tools like Vox Edit and comprehensive tutorials to ease new creators in the process. Now, for Upland creators, this journey mirrors that somewhat. However, the bulk of that kind of help, that assistance in the early stages, that's not Upland related. That's all community related. Maybe you could speak to that, Swally, as well, like the support that you might have received as you kicked off your journey.
Oh, the community itself are absolutely brilliant. In fact, even the staff weren't too bad when I first started. I don't know whether I've created a bad rep over there, like where the Upland UGC staff won't respond to me. I don't know what I've done. I know I haven't been offensive. I've been disappointed with certain things from time to time and asked certain questions, but the community themselves, I mean, I could list a dozen people. I mean, you post a question there and someone will come up with an answer. They're fantastic. The community, I've never been able to fault the community as a whole. And what we're all kind of competing with each other. I mean, Structure Ornaments and whatever are all out there, and we're sort of competing with each other. We're not at the same time, and a lot of them, people will swap stuff with each other because we just all work together. It's fantastic, and I just wish Upland could be more part of the community rather than, I don't know what to call them. I'm not a dictator.
Well, you have to be proactive. Well, first of all, you have to know where to ask for the help, and you have to be proactive in seeking it out. It's not something that you could just lone wolf in because there's no tutorials or stuff.
That's limited. When it comes to the Upland side, I mean, there's obviously a plethora of information on how to use Blender on the internet, which is great, and will get you started. But getting a object from Blender into Upland is a process in itself, and there's not obviously much information on the net about that. So you do then, that's where the UGC comes a lot more into it. I think Jason's made a few videos now that'll help. He's definitely done one for cuts, which I haven't got around to slotting out myself because I haven't had the time. So look, we're getting better with that. So helping people get involved in that. The channel, like it's a godsend. I definitely wouldn't be where I am now without that channel and without players like D-Shack and Blue Rain and the list goes on. I can't remember them all top of my head, but even Charles and I always forget his name. The one that we just showed the structural element for.
Achini.
Apparently, Charles is Achini. Somebody posted, so it's different in-game username or something.
Achini might be the name of his MetaVenture range, I think. So even these guys, and like I've never, even though I get frustrated with seeing their stuff get approved and mine get rejected, it's never I'm frustrated with them because they got something that I didn't. I'm frustrated with Upland for the inconsistencies of, well, why did they get it when I didn't at the same time, or in the same sort of space. The community itself, absolutely brilliant. I can't fault them at all. And like I said, you got any sort of drama, you just post it there on the UGC channel. And depending on the time of day and night, I mean, I'm in a bad time zone for the Americans usually, so I'll post something in the afternoon and I have to wait several hours for someone to get back to me, but they usually do.
The next day.
It's very
Yes.
rarely the Upland team, but, you know, it's usually someone from the community that will help you out. So, yeah, I can't.
Yes. All right, well, we'll get back to the survey responses. Many of you shared the highs of seeing your work come to life and being appreciated in-game, balanced by the lows of mastering tools like Blender and facing inconsistent approval processes. Non-creators often pointed to time constraints and technical difficulties as reasons for staying on the sidelines, highlighting a need for more accessible pathways. This shows that while Upland's UGC community is passionate, it could grow stronger with better support and more straightforward tools. Just in an overall conclusion, from admiration of unique designs to frustration with market oversaturation, your sentiments about UGC and Upland are as varied as the creations themselves. The wider Web3 world teaches us that to thrive, platforms need to have a balance of quality, accessibility, and purpose. Emphasizing utility, community involvement, and seamless integration with gameplay are essential to maintaining a vibrant UGC market. Upland must support its creators with better tools, clearer processes, and the potential for interconnected utility. As we look to the future, it's clear that creators, players, and Upland management all have roles to play in shaping the next chapter. What comes next could solidify or jeopardize this cornerstone of the metaverse. Full stop. The end. All right, thank you both for your insights into that, and we shall move on and race through a few more things now as part of we're getting into the back end and some giveaways, and I should have got this ready while we were talking, but I didn't, so I'll scramble it together now. We got to do the Midtown Terrace giveaways, seeing as it is that time of the month again.
Did you see the comment from Michael just before you move on to that? So in relation to your question about like the bath one, you can create an alternate version of it with lesser mints. Maybe even swap out the same mint numbers. I mean, it's a lot of work, I guess, but swap out the same mint numbers of the people that create that more. And you could burn them or delete them from the game, the original ones.
Yeah,
but again, it's a lot of work. It's a workaround. It's not a solution, I guess, but not a bad idea.
Well, that was in our plannings. We had... No, in our planning, we had, because back in the original submission process, like if you had an ice bath, you had to tell Upland every iteration of that ice bath that you wanted to do. You hadn't had to have created it, but you had to tell them, oh, by the way, I'm probably going to make a red one or a blue one or one that has 2 bars of soap instead of 3. So, yeah, and D-Tech, not so much recently, but he's constantly... has been in the past asked me, when are we going to make some more stuff? And I'm like, dude, just focus on it, because I know how busy he is in real life with his family stuff. I'm like, just go and finish your bloody home renovations. That's way more important. So
real life blendering.
It is, yeah, because I know that he doesn't do things by half-assing it. If he's gonna, I could change him. Hey, I want you to change this bar of soap. He'll spend a bloody 100 hours doing it. So that's just part of the process too. So. Yeah, who knows? Maybe now that AI is developed, maybe that's a different story. So maybe there's something to look into there.
AI's got some ways. AI's got some ways to go still, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple months will be there.
All right, so yes. So this is the Midtown Terrace residents. Don't forget that becoming a resident in Midtown Terrace includes entry into monthly prize draws with a minimum of 100,000 UPX and other bonuses in 2024. There's still time to get involved for the November snapshot, with plenty of options available on the secondary markets. As for the October Midtown Terrace residents snapshot, thank you to those who stuck around for another month, and to the 2 new residents who've joined to qualify for the Tier 2 giveaways. Let's give away some more stuff. Yeah, not exactly sure what I'm going to do in 2025. Again, it goes back to the utility conversation, how to best manage that given the very limited tools we have in Upland. But anyway, these are the names that are going in the run. First draw is for 50,000 UPX. And that goes to... who we got? No, it can't be me, is it? Oh, fuck.
No, that's good, because that's scientists.
No, he's not a Midtown Terrace resident.
Oh, Midtown, sorry. That's the
why
wrong
did I
draw.
put my own
Wrong
name
draw.
in there?
My bad.
God, now I've got to do it again. What a dickhead. I shouldn't have put my name in there. I was just copying and pasting the data.
Now
See?
you got to double the money.
Well, Brabant Swiss is going to be very happy. Brabant Swiss, congratulations. Brabant Swiss, 50,000 for you. Let me do these as fast as I can. Next up, 25,000 UPX. These are the Tier 1 residents who've been a resident in Midtown Terrace for more than a month. T. Tollison, I think he wins every month. T. Tollison, thank you very much. And next one is 15,000 UPX after fees. That goes to Laban. Got it?
Oh, come on.
He has. Congratulations,
Oh,
Laban.
man.
Redraw. Boo.
Next one.
He's asleep. Don't worry about
That's
him.
that, Laban. 10,000 UPX goes to Bloodless has missed it. Bompkins gets another one. Congratulations, Bompkins. And this last one for the Tier 1 residents is a mystery map asset. And that goes to Stoozle, might have it. Stoozle. Congratulations. So that's Tier 1 residents. I can get out of there and we'll go over to the Tier 2 residents. Pretty easy this one. It's only Maui and Ruble Max. 2 draws here. Only have to spin it once. Whoever it lands on, they get 15. The other person gets 10,000. Maui's got it. Congratulations, Maui. Maui's got the 15,000. Ruble Max gets the 10,000. And I'll give them both a mystery map asset as well. All right. That concludes that particular point. Jump out of there and we'll go back to there. All right, moving on. QIPS time. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to do QIPS this month or not, but I thought, what the hell, I'll bloody do it. First one from Angry Ursia. He asks, when will Upland allow structure ornaments on all structures? It's very annoying that we can't decorate things like a factory or even the Bermuda structures yet. What did I say? Don't ask when, why, how questions in Upland. It's bad for your mental health. Who knows? Soon.
Again,
One day
open it up.
soon.
That'll be opened up. Should be opened up to UGC. I mean, they've got to create the templates for us to build on. But that would be a perfect opportunity for the high quality limited number, because there's no point creating 1,000. No, Queen's UGC or the Queen's building, whatever that's called, one, because there isn't that many properties, and so you'd only want to create, say, 100 at the most, sort of thing, of the Queen's one, and the same for each city that has those unique builds, including. So the potential's there. I don't know whether is it an issue of Upland creating the templates for us to build upon. Like, I'd like to see it happen, but and that also
for branding, it would be awesome.
Maybe, I don't know whether you then, because they're particular buildings for that city, whether you've got to try and keep that theme somehow, like the New Orleans structures, and try and somehow stick to the New Orleans sort of feel. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can put generic townhouses up anywhere, so that doesn't really fly.
Yeah, so, but it's just a matter of them letting us create the stuff for it, and it would almost automatically rule out the volume stuff and just have. Because if you're just wanting to sell 1,000 or 10,000 or something, you're not going to create them for the unique structures. You're only going to create them for the standard stuff. So that might be an avenue for the better creators in the future to focus on creating those unique ones, especially for a particular city or something, or even better still, a particular neighborhood in a city, like a D-Tech neighborhood.
for the win.
The D-Tech neighborhood, for example, like imagine having structural. I mean, again, they're good buildings on their own, so probably you don't want to cover them up. But I don't know, a UGC one for Queens for that particular structure. Well, I wish I could remember the name of it. But when you think of Bellarose and their haunted theme, like, I'd love to be able to create something for all those ones. I mean, there might only be 100 of those structures in Bellarose, but so I'm never going to sell 10,000 of them. But I'd like to see it happen.
You were going to say something too?
I was going to say that it's with the factories and some of the other buildings, you have the marketing stuff above it, which may or may not get in the way. Like if you build a tall structure, then maybe it exceeds the height limit with the name of the business on top of it.
There's ways around that. Like they've said, you can't put things on top of the bloody chimneys. They could say that where it has to allow for that to poke through or whatever. But the thing that stuck out to me when I read that is when Angry said showrooms. Well, how good would that be? Samurai Aquatics. Imagine being able to do my own skin, even if it's just change the color. Wow, I can actually have a red one that's actually red and not some shitty shade of bloody whatever the hell that is, pinky purpley bloody color. Yeah.
That would be. Well, I even said when DTEC stuff came out for that neighborhood, I'd like to knock down on my showrooms one by one and rebuild his showrooms on there because they just look so much more awesome.
Yep.
Or if you could just paint them, just get your own custom colors or something. But
again, Metaventure opportunity. Yeah, who knows?
There's other things in the game I'd want before that. So
yes, the scary point in his question was when. Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Never.
Next up, Pliant Parrot asks, there's a kind of, I'll put these together because they both go together. He says, I get the impression that the Block Explorer market is recovering slightly. A, is it? Or B, if so, any ideas why? I think that's very targeted. Like we've had these things with these certain burn events that suddenly Block Explorers that were worth nothing suddenly have value. So I think that's very sporadic. But it's interesting to note that some people are front-loading what they think might be the next burn event, and they're gobbling those up in anticipation for a potential future flip. So in that case, perhaps that is some truth in that.
Well, and some of the ones that Upland's been putting out have been really low mint numbers.
Yeah.
So that's been
helpful. Definitely not worth getting up at stupid AM to try and get one. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
But that's a gripe for another time. And he's got a secondary question which is related to markets as well. He says, what will it take to help the market for vehicles to recover? And in all caps, can it recover? Well, yes, if there's utility. As we've mentioned before, well, where's the utility for the bloody cargo vehicles or the passenger vehicles or stuff like that? Now that we've got, you can rent out vehicles for speedways, that you would assume it's not going to make the market worse, put it that way, unless they suddenly flood it with something else. So can it recover? Yes, of course it can, because I don't think things can get much lower. Although, as we've seen with the actual property markets, apparently they can. So
yeah,
who knows? So thank you for that, Angry and Ursula and Plant Parrot. But we've got a few more here. Now we've got appears to be a bit of a rant here from Laban. He says, my biggest frustration right now is with leaderboards and how rarely, if ever, they update during critical periods. Oh boy, this is going to set Swally off again. A typical example is nearing the end of the month when it's essential to know where you stand to maximize spark payouts. It's extremely inconvenient when the leaderboard either isn't functioning or is slow to update. This is about people's earnings here, maximizing returns. I've started keeping a side record of all tasks just to be certain, but it's still uncomfortable when you know something has been done but isn't reflected accurately. This issue isn't new, but now that maximum spark rewards depend on completed tasks, it's absolutely crucial that this information is correct and up to date. End quote. Yeah, it's beyond mind-boggling how it takes 36 hours to update a leaderboard in a competition where, hours and minutes are crucial.
Can I just add not a rant, but an additional annoyance of those leaderboards is when you do load one up, it shows a time and date at the bottom or the top or somewhere on it, which is the time that you've loaded it up. So not a time that was updated, which is what it should be. So when you look at that time and date, go, it was last updated 3 days ago. Oh, well, I know it's not frigging current then. To me, that's just a no-brainer. Why it loads with a time and date, which is basically now, which you think it just means it's current as of now. Like, if it was the case that when you load it up, that's the current information from that moment. Okay, happy days, but it's not. We know it's not. It's from whenever they last, did the list, and then you're just basically opening up that list. And for it not to show the time that it was last updated is absolutely, that's the piece that pisses me off more than anything else. The fact that they don't update it is annoying in itself. And we can go on about this all day long, but the fact that they can't even give you the time that it was last updated, because I think it's just their way of covering up, I won't say incompetence, but for whatever reason, their inability to regularly update it, even though they say they'll do it every
Yep.
12 hours or something. Don't start me anymore. I will move.
Flag
take over. Flag take.
Yeah,
Well,
he's bolted. Yeah, he's a smart man. Yeah, well,
What'd
we
you
know
say about
the
me?
leaderboard system. The leaderboard system it's woeful at best. It's never worked great. It can't get any worse. Put it that way. It can't get any worse. And hopefully, when they move it to in-game, hopefully we'll look back on the old leaderboard system and have a bit of a chuckle and backslap each other and remember the bad old days.
Okay, a perfect example of this is with the UGC. It's not the UGC, sorry, the structural ornament competition that's ending in a week or so's time. Now, I know from a seller that the last week can get a bit hot with sales because people want to push for that top 11 in any of the brackets because it's worth getting the top 11. Those prizes aren't too bad. And once you buy these ornaments, you own them anyway. So they're good for assuming they keep the competition going. They're good for if you're only buying them for that reason only, they're good for future seasons. But you're updating this and you're looking at the current leaderboard and go, right, I need to get another 12 to get in the top 11. And you do that. And 3 days later, it still shows that you haven't got those 12 assigned or whatever. And then, but it also doesn't show that everybody else has gone up 12 as well. And you haven't done anything to improve your position. And it's like, hang on, you're in a competition where you're paying good money to get involved. And you can't really see the actual playing. Like, it should be almost live. It should, once someone updates it, it should be 3 minutes later, once it's on the blockchain.
Yeah, there's no question it should be live.
And if it can't be live, it should be blind. Nobody knows.
Yes.
It's just like a blind auction. It's just you put all your chips in, whatever you're willing to do, and it is what it is.
Agreed. Yeah. So that'd probably take away from my angst of wanting to get in, because I really do want to get involved in it, but I really don't want to knock out people that are my customers. So I'm like, do I, don't I? And other people around me are going, yeah, just do it. Like, look after yourself, number one. I'm like, yeah, but I am looking after myself, but not pissing off my customers. I'd rather continue selling stuff to people than win a property once. But I don't know, like, just to win it once would be nice. That's all I'm saying. But you know, I have the ability to win it. I just haven't chosen to yet.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot to be improved on there. All right, we'll move on. CERN S4 has got a bunch here that we'll bang through. He starts off by saying there are a lot of things going on in Upland these days, and some would say perhaps too many things. He asks, is there any non-property trading aspect of Upland that it's high time for Upland to put a kibosh on and simply retire? We have seen this in the past where, what was it, one of the soccer legits, they put the kibosh on that and they give that up. I don't think we need to kill anything because people have put time, effort, money into buying up these things. It's just about, come on, Upland, you got to come through with these things. But then perhaps things like the Brazilian stock car racing series, we don't know how much of the lack of stuff going on there is Upland's not doing it, or how much is that the official partners aren't putting any time or effort into it. Who knows? Putting the kibosh on old things, I'd rather them follow through and complete things and put a bow on it rather than kibosh. I don't really like the idea. Anything that should be just nuked out of the game? No explanations given?
I don't think
you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Nuked out of the game. No, everything has its purpose, and if nothing else, for historical purposes.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Again, everybody doesn't have to get involved in everything, so people just pick and choose what they want to do. I mean, I like NFL, but I've never got involved in the NFLPA stuff. Probably never will, because there's already too much to do, and that's just another headache I don't want to get my head around.
Yeah, I came into Upland liking, the only thing was the property trading aspect. Personally, I'd like all of the legit stuff and all of that. I got no interest in that myself, so I wouldn't be too bummed if they just gave up on all of that stuff and just focused on stuff that's actually tied to the actual property mechanics. But that's not going to happen because they got to sell stuff to keep lights on the office, and the easiest way to do that is probably come up with some new bloody partnership thing. Bye. All right, moving on. He says, given the pattern of layer 2 concepts in Upland at times fizzling out, should Upland have a responsibility to ensure layer 2 developers behave responsibly with UpX flows that go in and out of the layer 2? And if so, should Upland have backdoor access to UPX, or have layer 2 UPX be held in escrow, or have some other forms of intervention mechanisms as a kind of insurance policy of sorts? So you're talking in there about the hand of God. Should the hand of God of Upland extend into digging around into the back door of the layer 2 folks? I personally don't like the sound of that at all. You're both shaking your heads. Yeah,
Absolutely not.
You never want
Upland-
your government getting involved with your business if you can help it.
Poking around in your back door. Yeah. It's tricky, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, you hate to see layer 2s come on board and people put all the time and effort in and it just fizzles and burns. That is pretty much that's the established foundation at present. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there's other new ones coming along that can address that. But yeah, as far as them having direct control, yeah. Ooh, that's scary stuff.
I'm not a layer 2 developer, so I don't know for sure. I would hazard to guess from what I've seen and heard from other people that one of the biggest issues with layer 2 is the lack of communication and forward planning from Upland to assist layer 2 with continuing and creating, and we just see with UpX World or US the Spark exchange stuff like that going down for times when Upland updates stuff and not let them know ahead of time what changes are coming and how they can best prepare for it. So I'm not surprised that layer 2 struggle, and that's why I'm super interested in watching what Next World does and how it evolves, because if Next World fails, to me that's going to be a huge nail in the coffin of Upland and layer 2.
Oh yeah.
If something as well established as Next World, with the team that Next World have and the connections that they're making connections all over the place behind the scenes, not just with layer 2 with Upland, but with other. They almost got their finger in every pie just about in the background. So if they can't make a solid go of it, and like Tycoon's not dead, like that's still in development, and hopefully that'll layer 2 game with potential will rise again. But Upland need to focus on the layer 1. That's their domain. That's what they're in charge of. Yeah, they can set some sort of boundaries as to what you can and can't build on top of their game, but that's what they've got to focus on, not everything else.
Yes.
But they need to work with people. And I've said it plenty of times that Upland treat us as cash cows, not as partners of the game. But we're partners. Without us, there is no Upland. And without Upland, there's no us. There's no. So we need each other as much as the others need, So Upland needs to start thinking that sort of same mindset with layer 2, going, okay, well, we need layer 2 to help the development, which layer 2 will assist with layer 1 and the demand for certain stuff in the game. So they need to be forward planning and more open about trying to help them succeed in the future. I don't know the full story behind Grombrindball and what happened there with that game, but that was a great game, and it's still going. You can still play it, but it's dead because there's no more development on it. And
so
I don't know if that's
happy changes and stuff.
Well, it's never, since he got it sort of stabilized, it's never really dropped down as far as, I don't play it every day anymore or anything, but it was such a good game at the beginning, and it was not for everybody, but I'd love to have seen that continue on and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's more Grom than Upland or vice versa, but to me, that it just seems like Upland doesn't offer enough support to these organizations. And to be honest, Upland should just be buying UpX World or UpX Land or whatever it's called and implementing that into the game, because they need that. But again, that's more cost than.
Yeah. What I think you're saying, if I can engage my inner vulgar Uplander, if I can take a leaf out of Elslack's book, is instead of the hand of God reaching around to put a finger in your backside, it should be reaching over the front to give you a bit of a hand out the front end instead of a finger up the back end.
I just think I've said this all the time. Upland, I don't know, they just don't seem to look at everybody and every partner or every stakeholder in the game and treat them as what they need to treat them. I think they just treat everybody, they're the god, and everybody else can do what they say. If they don't like it, we'll go somewhere else. Instead of like, and whether they be a player or a layer 2 or whatever, like to me, they need to be working more and communicating more with people in different areas. And I just don't think they do that even remotely. I mean, X1 showed up on LSLAC's stream a couple of weeks back, and I'm so glad I wasn't live because I probably would have got jailed. And he mentioned communication was one, and X1 was like, well, how so? And I'm like, what do you mean how so? Like, surely that is not a question that's a surprise to you. Like, just, I mean, it was like saying, well, how many grains of sand is there at the beach? Like, if that door was open with me, the communication with someone direct to the team, I could feel a 24-hour stream with how communication has let down players and people in the game.
To play devil's advocate on the theme, though, we have seen that Upland has tried to put some procedures in place, like with the hackathon. Instead of giving them all the money up front, they had to get to certain points in development or something like that to unleash or to unlock other levels of funding. So maybe that's the way to go for that respect, but it doesn't really address the active support level. That's something that's pretty hard to work out unless you're actively involved in it, I would imagine. Right, Cernest goes on to say the world iconic cities of London and Tokyo that have been dusted by the watershed tier downgrade change. What, if anything, can Upland do to turn these cities into gems again in Upland? And can that happen without restoring their tier level in Upland? Yes, London and Tokyo got nuked. Cernest is always saying, when London 4, when Tokyo 3, or whatever he's saying. I mean, look at the markets, what's happened there. You can't even look to Manhattan and San Francisco as, points to aim at, because San Francisco floors $3, $10 Manhattans. I don't know. What if anything, Upland can do?
Give them a purpose.
Get the foundations of the game. Get the foundations of the game sorted. Get more users. I mean, what can't they do?
But it's basically referring to treasure hunting, and treasure hunting being nerfed in those two cities is relevant now because it's been nerfed across the board. So if he's talking about it being, owning several properties and receiving some decent income from sends and all that sort of stuff, that would have been gone anyway, mostly.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there isn't sends. I still get some decent sends from my Washington properties, but so those treasure hunting cities still exist to a certain extent. But look, I don't disagree. I disagree with the way Upland did it, but I don't disagree with the fact that they did downgrade those two cities. Because if you've ever tried treasure hunting Los Angeles, you realize why they did it. Even an experienced treasure hunter, with 11 sends, you can still not find the treasure, even when you know what you're doing. So to have those cities that were massively imbalanced was the right move. They just did it very poorly.
Yes.
And even if they put that to a vote to the community would have voted overwhelmingly to downgrade them, because I think more people aren't treasure hunters than there are, but it affects everybody. We should have all had a say in it. So I don't know.
Yes, all right. And there's one more here from Cernus4. He says, is it a worrisome sign that many of the whaliest of whales in Upland seem to be less active in Upland these days? Or is the engagement level of whales in Upland not much to do about anything?
Absolutely, it's a worry.
Well, isn't it? There's no getting around the fact that it is true that engagement levels of not just whales, but people that have been around for a very long time.
How many UGC, sorry, not UGC, UCN creators are still creating content?
Yeah, and even myself, I'm dropping off the cliff as well. So, yeah.
I mean, there's very few that have, since I started joining the game, there's very few that have stood the test of time from 3 years ago. Very few.
Yeah. Is it a concern? Well, not necessarily. They make space. If you're talking from a broadcaster perspective, it makes space for other people to get involved. As for the markets themselves, I don't know. I don't know, really. Of course, everyone would like some big, fat, juicy whales to come in and continue to buy up their properties. Is that realistic? Was the markets overly inflated previously? Is what we're seeing now more of a reflection of the reality of things? Don't know. Is
I
it a
think, like I said,
concern? Hmm.
I
Sorry,
I think
finish your
it's
thought.
natural progression. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
way it goes. People are going to fall off and come back when Upland or a layer 2 comes up with a good reason for the whales to really engage again. They're going to engage again. Um, it it this is just the way it goes, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll just answer James Pite's Pat there. No, I haven't looked into that myself at all. So I try not to speak on things I know nothing about. Yeah, so not in this one at least.
yeah, I'm not.
Going back to the whale question, I can only speak from my own perspective. My activity has dropped off. My engagement level dropped off a cliff. I think, I don't know who I was talking to. I think I said something like, I used to do 3 shows a week. I used to spend upwards of 20 hours a week doing upland related stuff. That's probably now dropped to 2 hours or maybe even less. The prime reason for that is I'm not able to play the game on iOS. And I'm not going to go over all that again because I ranted about that for ages. So that's the biggest thing for me. If I want to play the game, I want to be engaged in the game, I cannot do it. I'm not going to sit there and get white screen crashed into oblivion trying to do stuff. So
It
that's
just
from
links,
my perspective. As
it just
for the other big accounts, I don't know.
it just links back to what I said earlier in the show, where players clearly aren't wanting to play the game for whatever reason at the moment as much as they used to. And because they're not wanting to play the game, they're not referring other people, they're not being active. And it all just links back to the same. And I think Upland just needs to make the basics of the game what players want, make
basics.
it enjoyable for whether it be UGC or treasure hunting or whatever it is that you want to do in the game. And just make the basics right. And then players like you and I will be like, well, hang on, I might actually talk my best mate into playing the game. Like I signed my best mate up, well, I talked him into signing him up for the first round of my only referral I've ever had in Upland. And then I tried to get him to actually play the game. And I was trying to give him advice where to go to start buying properties in the first city. And he was like, no, I just signed up so he could help you with the bonus. I don't care about playing the game. And I'm like,
yeah.
I already talked him into signing up. He's paid $10. I'd like him to continue, but I couldn't really. I didn't like. I want to try and.
I've talked about. Yeah, I've talked about that with just about every person I've interviewed. Well, what is it about Upland that has hooked us, but nobody else gets? There's something there that some people just don't get. I don't know what it is, but so you can't force people into these things. Yeah,
it's different. Everybody's different, so there's no one answer to that question. And I think that's the bottom line. But yes. It's like trying to sell a used car. Like I want other people to come and play. Like, I want my mate to play. I'd love for him to play and for us to chat all day. I mean, Elsack and I talk almost every day about certain stuff, and it's great. But at the same time, I'm not going to twist his arm to play because sometimes I get so frustrated with certain things in the game that I'm like, well, why would I talk someone else into playing that pisses me off so much? And I've said it before, it only pisses me off so much because I care so much. If I didn't care so much, I'd just move on. Like, it wouldn't bother me. But
it sounds like what I say to my wife. I say the only reason I know you so much is I love you. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll get away with that one, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
all right, well, we shall move on. So thank you very much for that. All of the QIPS submitters, you've earned yourself 10,000 UPX after fees. We'll accept for Cernes4. He put in some extra effort, so I'll send him 15,000 UPX. Don't forget that if you've just joined us or you haven't heard yet, tonight's hashtag for the live participants giveaway is UGCFTW. Drop the hashtag in to go in the running for some prizes coming up here soon. UGCFTW. All right, we're moving on to the dynamic node builder segment. In this month's Getting to Know Community Members segment, care of Mesme and the other members of the dynamic node builders team. They're featuring David Oziata. I always butcher that name, so I just call him DZ. who is currently a director with a net worth of almost 5.8 million. He's got 289 properties, 89,000 UPEX burn in a hole in his pocket. His home residence is in the very scenic Lake Wacomas neighborhood of Kansas City, of which he's one of the community managers for. He's got 49 structures, 15 block explorers, 2 vehicles, 61 map assets, including 1 totem, and he's got 33 structure ornaments. Now, normally we'd go and dive into his details and whatnot, but you know what? I've already had an extensive interview with DZ. So we went over all of that. So if you haven't checked that out, scroll back in the channel and find that one. Pretty good chat with him and what he's got going on, both personally and in Lake Wacomas. So we'll just dive straight into his responses. So in-game name, DZ, Uplander since February 2021, been to Vegas, no. Occupation, running wires. Bucket list, buy a Nissan Skyline. Tattoos, yes. Most helpful thing you own. Power tools, most common internet search. Upland, pet peeve. People not being direct in conversations. Never do again. Break the law. Superpower, power to make gold. That'd be a nice one. Oh, look, superpowers are back. Heart or head, because they get in trouble a lot. That might be the break the law point there. Start a charity, yes. Help people in rehab. And 3 Uplanders you chat with regularly. BLE, Kiwi Talk, only the BK. Well, there you go.
I don't like your superpower.
Oh.
Yeah,
me neither.
You don't like it?
Well, it's basically an airdrop, isn't it? And what do I think about airdrops?
Yeah.
What does it do to the rest of the value of the economy? So he starts making all the gold that he wants, then gold becomes worthless.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I'd take it. I wouldn't
mediocre.
Say no. Rich mediocre. All right, thank you for that, DMB. If you'd like to get involved yourself, or if you know of someone who the community might be interested in learning a bit more about, then send Mesme or any of the other dynamic node builders a DM, or click the link to the DMB Discord server in the description. Say good day and tell them the UDU podcast sent you.
Yes.
All right, so that brings us to the back end. What were you going to say?
I was just going to be a smart ass and say, yeah, get RPC cash on.
Oh, that's one of the jailed treasure hunters, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
And sniping bots that has burnt many a person.
Well, you know, I'm not shy to interview these very controversial figures. I've done it before, so who knows? 2025. RCP Cash, if you want to have a chat, reach out. You never know.
I don't think there was too many tears shed for that one.
Yes. All right. Well, see how we go. All right, we're going to move on to wrap this bad boy up. The last month's challenge was, we've outlined it extensively, we covered it a lot, was to get yourself in the contest channel within the NBA server and answer the 3 questions that were about the Upland UGC. Already gone through all that, so we're not going to rehash that again. Everyone who did so are going to roll for a chance to win 35,000 UPX after fees. You'll also have a shot at you also had a shot at the 15,000 UPX bonus prize. And of course, that guarantees you an entry into next month's massive end of year show giveaways, including the 1 million UPX grand prize. We've also got a sponsor prize to give away tonight, thanks to BAMTech and his MetaVenture series Apex Motors and Map Assets. Spruce up your trackside properties with speedway fences from Apex Map Assets, and get racing in roadster karts and neon karts from Apex Motors. All right, so let's run this. Make sure I press the right buttons and give away some more stuff. Not that one, this one. So I always forget to shuffle. We'll do a shuffle. So this first one is... Yes, no, this is just the one. This is going to be 35,000 UPX straight up. I was thinking of a live participant as well. And that goes to, he's in the chat, kind of. I think you got it. You just pipped Crypto Fam. Well done.
Ooh, congrats.
Kind of nice. 520, 35,000 UPX after fees coming your way. And let me go back here. Now, the 15,000 bonus... 15,000 bonus prize that goes to Umbrella Boy, aka the Eyeball Kid, Keith Olsen. Put a pin on that. I'll get to that in a minute, mate.
Yeah, I know you
Umbrella Boys. Here, Umbrella Boy's bonus, the 15,000 UPX. He gets that because his responses were, if you remember question 1, he said, in general, I prefer ornaments to map assets. A favourite from my personal collection is the Shark Blimp ornament from Tosh Shack. Weird, high concept, well crafted, rare, and unlikely to be approved under current rules. We covered all of that, of course. Question 2, his response was, I continue to believe that UGC is an important part of Upland's future, but it continues to be a bumpy road. Some negatives equals inconsistent approval process and proliferation of cheap, overproduced items / unfair competition with Upland produced items. That's one thing we didn't touch on, hey? And he says, however, I continue to be surprised and delighted by some of the great ideas out there. And the final question, he said, I take pride that my eyeballs are among the first approved UGC ornaments and no regrets about going on that journey. Definitely plenty of well-documented frustrations that required persistence and patience, but happy to have other players find some value in the finished product. So, yeah.
Do you want me to
Thank
touch
you for
on that?
Umbrella Boy.
Do you want me to touch on that
Yeah, you
question
can.
about the like I've in relation to the structural ornament competition, I've been saying ever since it was first invented that there's no way that a blue collection should be worth the same as an ultra rare collection. They should all have different values, and the same with structures. There's no way a micro house should be worth the same as an apartment building. Same should be true with the ornaments. And no way should a 1 of 10 ornament be the same value as a 1 of 5,000. So
can't argue with
I would argue that all of those things should be factored in and the competition balanced out. So with those sort of things, and giving more the rarer stuff more value, so to speak. But that's just for a competition purpose, which is not the overall. I mean, that's only one aspect of structural ornaments. Obviously, just decorating your neighborhood is a whole different ballgame again. But I've been saying that from day one. I don't think I've had any love or any support in that opinion. Everyone else that I've spoken to about it. So now I like it the way it is because they just like whacking up their micro houses or their what's that other little one that they do? The little
small townhouse.
Oh, the small townhouse.
No, the other one, the ranch. There's the other one that the micro house and the ranch are my two biggest sellers because they're the two easiest to build. I mean, a micro house you build in like 18 hours or something. That's the ridiculousness of it. It has a small amount of spark, but you can stake up to 24 spark. Yeah, an apartment building has way more spark hours, but you can only stake up to 19 or something like that, or 20.
Yeah, or
whatever.
19,000, something stupid.
Yeah, like it's just ridiculous how all that works. So anyway, that's just my rant on that. So, and I think that would help balance the more rarer stuff, and therefore the Upland stuff, which is a run of 100. Because you could probably bracket in everything under 100 mints max into that same sort of points category.
Absolutely. All right. Now, I nearly forgot. We got to give away one of these very cool looking 2024 neon carts to the people that were involved in the monthly challenge as well. So let me go back over here. I'm going to leave kind of 520 on there and we'll shuffle and see who gets the first one of these. Don't forget that if you're a live participant, you go in the running for this as well. Swaley's got it.
No. Oh, maybe.
Swaley. Congratulations.
I've never won a cart before.
There you go. Well, now you have. So if you are a live participant, you're going to go in the running for one of those two. You just have to drop the hashtag UGCFTW. Right. Good on you, Swaley. Look at that.
Well, that's good because I gave up my position in the live participants to Kinder. So if I come up in that one, that's actually for Kinder. Same as if you come up, it's for scientists.
Scientists. There you go. All right, and that is a wrap on what was previously the weekly and has recently been the monthly challenges. Next month, of course, will be the massive end-of-year giveaway show where everyone who has been involved in these challenges all throughout 2024 will go in the running for a heap of awesome prizes, including, yes, the big grand prize of 1 million UPEX sent directly to them after fees. This is the third year in a row I've done that. And speaking of which, and this goes back to your point, KO, that you mentioned before, if you are a UGC MetaVenture owner and you'd like to sponsor a small bundle of prizes to give away, along with a mini promotion of your brand in next month's show, please send me a DM ASAP. Now, this is not an Upland bundle where it's one freaking thing. We expect, at least 2 or 3 a little pack of things that you could put up for me to give away. The last couple of years, I've given away just absolute crap tons of my own stuff. But I was sitting down to do some stuff last night, and I figured I've sold so much stuff. I don't actually have all that much to give away. Obviously, I will give away a bunch of my own stuff as well, including what will be probably almost 2 million UPEX once all the stuff's there. But yes, if you're a UGC Metaventure owner, you're listening or watching, and you want to get involved, as you've just seen me do there with BAMTech's little promotion as well. No other cost or anything besides that, other than send me through a little mini blurb that you want me to say, some graphics, and yes, a little bundle of prizes. Can be anything, or even if you're not a Metaventure owner, if you want to get your name out there, or you just want to donate something, properties, who knows? It's up to you. Hit me up in the DMs. Thank you, KO. That sounds very good. All right. Where are we up to? We're up to the live participants wheel. So let's do that now. Very last chance. Get your hashtag in, UGC FTW. UGC for the win. And I'll go back to screen share.
All right.
We're nearly at the end.
So since we're in the mood of giving away, I've already got a wheel going for myself. I'll also give away a structural ornament afterwards. So once you've done the normal one, don't remove people so they can have another shot at both the ninjas and mine. Because I don't want to rank them as like ninjas is better than mine or vice versa. Just leave everybody on.
Alrighty, let me find the right wheel, live participants wheel. That's that one. So first of all, we need to find 23 entries. So all right, so this is to see who's going to play of our live participants. Good luck. Who's going to play? Who's going to play? Oh, don't be me again, Jesus. Picasso. Well done.
But you isn't you, so don't worry.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Picasso. All right, I'm going to leave that there because I have to draw that again for the other Apex motors. So what do we got to do now? We got to go back over here. Now this is what we're going to see what Picasso is going to win. Could be up to 30,000 UPX. Could be a 6-pack of mystery map assets. Who knows? Oh, it's amazing how much the biggest prize goes off. Believe me, draw again. Congratulations.
30K.
It's freaking incredible.
So on that, how do you go in the racing today? You may just put it in comment because I saw you went really well last week and helping you Ninjas team get up there, which was off to a bad start for this season.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's next?
I got to do one more giveaway. This is for our live participants for the other 2024 Neon kart from Apex Motors. So I believe I can just press draw again, and assuming Picasso is not going to win it again, we'll see who's going to win that one. The other kart goes to Ryan JM. Congratulations, Ryan JM. Hit me up in the DM so I don't forget if you're still listening, and we'll endeavour to get that out to you. I'll stop sharing, Swally, and over to you. You can run your giveaways.
No, you need to pick the winner from the live participants. So
I got to spin that whole thing again.
Yeah, because we got the Ninjas giveaway first. So do the Ninjas one. So
I want the Ninjas one. The Ninjas one's going to be a pack he's going to put together for me for next month.
No, that's different.
Unless you want to do both.
No, he said initially he'd give away 3 Ninjas. So
I don't mind giving away other people's stuff.
Yeah, so he said he'll give away 3 Ninjas if you want, if I understand this correctly. And then
that's the way I understand it.
And then later on he said he'll do a pack for the next month's show.
All right, sounds good. So this is a little pack of Ninjas, thanks from the Hyde Park Ninjas, and that goes to
probably the Ninjas.
No, James Pirates 02 dopest crew.
Nice.
Hey Ben, you want to run one for a teabagger real quick too? I got to get in the mix, give something away.
All right. Let me just write this down. James Pipe 02 dopest crew. Ninja stuff. All right, we'll draw again, and this is for a teabagger map asset from the Volga Uplander. That goes to MK Michael Collar. Congratulations.
All right, and you got one more.
Get in contact.
Yep, just hit me up. I'll get that to you.
Bag. And one more is, what are we giving away, Swally? A structure ornament?
Structural ornament from me. Well, I've got a different spin wheel to
Alright.
find which one though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry. Somebody's going to be disappointed. That's Maui. Oh.
Ah.
What have you got?
All right, so we'll do a spin wheel, so entire thingy. I've got it ready to go, so it shouldn't take too long. So
I'll send you a present, Maui.
What does she win? Oh, the rarest one on the board.
Oh, really? What is it?
That's
A exclusive Swally 129 tower.
Yep. There's only one of those on the whole wheel, and she got it.
Crazy. Crazy how that happens.
Yeah.
Crazy days. All right. I think we got all of that, didn't we? Yes. Live participants done. Yep, that's it. Man, way past lunchtime. All right, let's get you fine people out of here. If you didn't hear previously when I said that's all for this month, and we'll see you at some stage in probably mid-December for the very last UDU podcast in this format. If you didn't catch what I said earlier or what I said at the end of the interview series I did with the Hyde Park Ninjas, I'm not committing to any sort of broadcaster role in 2025, but I may do some kind of short-term content or possibly some form of live bloody amalgamation interview show thing. Don't know what I'm going to do yet, but yeah, I was committed to this show. I'm committed to the big giveaway show next month, and beyond that, we'll just have to see how it plays out. Anything else you've got to say, Swally man? Well, first of all, I need to say thank you. You had a very busy morning this morning for jumping in and offering your insights and opinions also, and of course, that extends to you as well, Elslack. I know it's getting pretty late your time, so thank you for sticking around. I'll send the last words over to you guys.
It's not. It's like 9 o'clock or something his time.
It's 7:35. Okay, calm
Oh,
down.
there you go. So I knew it wasn't late.
I thought it was stupid AM. There you go. I'm out of whack.
You still got KO and SC on, so you know it's not past their bedtime yet. So it's definitely not late for Elslack.
Nice. Oh well, I'm sure he's got kids and stuff to look after.
I do.
That's what time I normally have to watch the Ninjas at 4:30 AM.
Yes. Yeah, it's well past lunchtime. It's 1:30 here, so we've been gas bagging long enough. Anything you've got to promote? Get out there, Elslack. You want to stick the boot in while KO can't reply verbally?
Watch the Neutral Zone on Mondays, and whenever I post other random car driving videos, if you want a teabagger, you're gonna have to support old Elslack here in the Vulgar Uplander. And if you are supporting Hyde Park, then good for you.
That wasn't very vulgar.
Do you want me to be vulgar? This is your show.
That's what we've worked out. The more we have a feud with them and like do certain things to their neighborhood or vice versa, all they're doing is helping out their neighborhood in their rankings.
Go check out Miami Beach and look at the tip of the dick, and you're going to see Suck It Ninjas. Just know that there's plenty more where that came from.
Nice.
I'm waiting for Upland to go. All right, that's enough.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, pretty much links to everything we covered tonight should be in the description. Eventually, I haven't set all that up yet, so see how we go with that. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for sticking around with us. We've been gas bagging for quite a while this evening, and until then, we shall catch you later.